How did that iconic purple apartment in Friends go from this to this? Well, I mean, obviously everybody moved out, but you know what I mean. Right. This Thanksgiving, we're going to be going through the entire story of Friends from start to finish, just for you guys. Let's dive in. Rachel Green is a spoiled daddy's girl who just left a guy at the altar in the start of the pilot episode. Her family ain't happy about this, so she decides to strike out on her own. She quickly lands a job as a waitress, but dreams of working in the fashion industry. Rachel went to high school with Monica and Ross, and she and Monica were best friends. And Ross was just kind of Monica's dorky older brother that had a crush on her. Ross Geller is a year older than Monica, and the golden boy of his tight-knit family. He's a paleontologist with a PhD, also known as a huge dinosaur nerd. But as smart as the guy is, he has zero skill when it comes to women. Not only was he in a relationship with a lesbian for nearly a decade, but he's been in love with Rachel since high school. Ross is a nice guy and a loyal friend, but he is a bit awkward. Monica Geller is Ross's clean freak little sister. Monica works as a chef, a hobby she picked up in high school. She used to be overweight, and now overcompensates by being very type A. She likes things to be held to a certain standard. Monica clean. It's even cleaner than, like, the health department. She also loves to host and often brings guests over for dinners, Thanksgivings, parties, and the like. Chandler Bing is Ross's roommate from college. The two have been best pals ever since. Chandler is smart, sarcastic, and works as a... Actually, no one really knows what Chandler does for a living. Chandler had kind of a rough childhood. His mother is an novelist, and his dad left his mom to become a Las Vegas drag queen. So I guess you could say that the guy has some intimacy issues. When he's uncomfortable, he just cracks a joke. Hey, I also do that. Joey Tribbiani is Chandler's roommate. They met in a very 1990s way, through a roommate ad in the paper. It worked out great though, because now Joey and Chandler are best pals. And Joey is quite the ladies' man. He's an actor, a huge charmer, and a sweet guy, but boy, Joey's an idiot. Like dumb. Like dumb, like dumb with a capital D. Like, let me tell you, dumb. Lastly, we've got Phoebe Buffet. Phoebe is Monica's former roommate, and boy does she have a wild and mysterious past. Honestly, in my opinion, Phoebe's the glue keeping all of the friends together. She's weird as hell, sure, but keeps it real. Likely because she was homeless as a teenager after her mom killed herself. Kinda dark, I know, but Phoebe cares for her friends deeply, and she's loyal as all get out. She's so much fun to watch. I wish Phoebe was my friend in real life. Anyway, let's get started with season 1. In the one where Monica gets a roommate, Monica, Chandler, Joey, and Phoebe are at the coffee shop named the Central Perk, gabbing about bad dreams and worst dates, and Ross enters drenched from the rain. Ross's ex-wife, Carol, came out as a lesbian, and they're splitting up. So, as you can imagine, Ross is pretty down in the dumps. He says he doesn't want to be single, he just wants to be married again. And just then, a woman wearing a soaking wet wedding dress enters the shop. This woman is none other than Rachel Green, Monica and Ross's former high school friend.
And I just won $1 million!
Monica takes her old BFF under her wing and introduces her to the gang. Rachel tells them that she just left her soon-to-be husband, Barry, at the altar because she didn't love him. Fair enough, but I still think Ross wins the Worst Day award here. The gang then heads to Monica's apartment, and Rachel is on the phone with her father, who's not happy that she bailed on the wedding. Rachel tells her daddy that she doesn't need him, and she can just stay with Monica.
Well, maybe I don't need your money. Wait, I said maybe!
Luckily, Monica is surprisingly chill about this, and the gang encourages Rachel to cut up her credit cards and get independence from her parents. The next night, Ross and Rachel are catching up. When Ross confesses that he had a huge crush on her in high school, she's like, yeah, obviously. Ross then asks her if he can ask her out on a date. Not right now, just at some point later in the future. And she tells him that she would be okay with that. And then Ross just walks away. Smooth, my guy. The next day we find out that Rachel got a job. She's a waitress at the Central Perk. In the one with the sonogram at the end, Carol visits Ross at the hospital to deliver some big news. She's pregnant, and her new lesbian partner is not the father. Carol tells Ross that she and Susan want Ross to be involved in their baby's life, but only if he's comfortable with it. Back at the apartment, Monica is frantically cleaning, as she often does, before hers and Ross's parents parents, Jack and Judy, come over for dinner. The two have always had a strong sibling rivalry, and Ross, with his wife and PhD and everything, has always been the favorite. Anyway, Jack and Judy show up, and they're very critical of Monica all evening.
Oh, we're having spaghetti. That's easy.
Yeah, well, if it's so easy, you just make it, Judy. Monica pulls Ross aside and is like, hey, can we change the subject to your pregnant lesbian ex-wife, please? Eventually, Ross gives his parents the scoop, but instead of cooking Ross, Judy blames Monica for not telling them. The next day, Ross meets up with Susan and Carol for their first sonogram appointment. It's pretty tense, and they get into a fight over baby names. Ross is even more upset when he realizes the baby won't have his last name. He tells Susan and Carol that he isn't comfortable with being involved, but changes his mind when he hears the heartbeat. Oh, that's kind of sweet. Meanwhile, Rachel visits Barry at his orthodontist practice to return the engagement ring, and he's not nearly as upset as you'd think he'd be. Turns out he went on their honeymoon to Aruba with Mindy, Rachel's maid of honor. They're together now. Later that night, Rachel calls Mindy to give her a piece of her mind.
Okay, I know it's a cheap shot, but I feel so much better now.
Yeah, you tell her, Rach. In the one with George Stephanopoulos, Joey and Chandler drop into Central Perk, giving Ross a ticket to a hockey game as a birthday present. But Ross doesn't really want to go because it's the anniversary of the first time he and Carol hooked up. Pull yourself together, big guy. Ross eventually agrees to attend after Joey promises to buy him a foam finger. That's when Rachel runs in, bragging to her friends about her first paycheck. You know, that is until she realizes she's not really being paid that well. And she just found out what taxes are. As Childish Gambino said,
This is America.
It's okay, Rachel. Taxes suck. Meanwhile, the guys are having a great time at the hockey game until Ross gets smashed in the face with a flyaway puck. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. The guys take Ross to the hospital, and while in the waiting room, Ross confesses that he lost his virginity to Carol, so the anniversary of that day really is kind of a big deal to him. That night at the apartment, Monica and Phoebe have arranged a slumber party to cheer Rachel up with booze and cookie dough. Rachel starts to have a breakdown over her rough financial situation, and Phoebe and Monica can both relate. So now they're all depressed, but the night takes a better turn when they're accidentally delivered a pizza meant to go to Bill Clinton's campaign advisor, George Stephanopoulos. Monica is geeking out, so they just spy on him next door all night instead. Fun! In the one with the East German laundry detergent, the gang is hanging out in the coffee shop, as usual. Ross tries to ask Rachel out, but ends up inviting himself to the laundromat with her instead. Boy, how romantic.
Just the two of you? Yeah. This is a date. You're going on a date.
I don't know, are you sure about that, Chandler? Chandler, meanwhile, is nervous about breaking up with his girlfriend, Janice. Phoebe says that she'll dump her boyfriend Tony to support him. How nice, I think. Later that night, Phoebe dumps Tony without a problem, but when Chandler breaks the news to Janice, she has a meltdown. Chandler tags Phoebe in for backup, but Janice seems totally fine now. Damn. Phoebe's really good at breakups. At the laundromat, Rachel confesses that she's never done laundry before. Like, ever. She's pushed around by a really rude lady, but Ross gets her to stand up for herself. Oh my gosh, maybe it was a date. In the one with the butt, Joey gets a new agent, Estelle Leonard. Good news, she got him a role in a new Al Pacino movie. Bad news, he's Al Pacino's butt double, but Joey's excited and ready to go.
After all your years of struggling, you've finally been able to crack your way into show business.
Yeah, he's gonna moisturize his butt, Monica. Unfortunately, Joey takes the role a little too seriously and gets fired for overacting. Speaking of Monica, her hyper-clean tendencies have been put to the test lately. Rachel cleaned the apartment and reorganized. And Monica hates it. But she's trying to be really cool about it. Of course, Rachel leaving a pair of shoes in the living room literally kept her up all night, tossing and turning. But hey, at least Monica tried her best to be cool about it. In the one with the blackout, Phoebe is making her musical about Central Perk, but as you probably guessed by the title, there's a blackout. Back at Monica's apartment, the others are swapping stories of the weirdest place they've ever hooked up with someone.
Phoebes, what about you?
Milwaukee.
Thanks for playing, Phoebe. Rachel confides in Ross that she wishes she had more excitement in her love life. Joey sees Ross getting friend-zoned, so he tells Ross that he better fess up about his feelings before he's stuck there forever. Ross goes outside to ask her out, but right before he does, the neighbor's cat jumps on him.
Ow. Sorry, that was wax.
Rachel and Phoebe go door to door to find the kitty's owner, who turns out to be a very attractive Italian man named Paolo. Rachel brings Paolo back to Monica's apartment. Soon, the last candle goes out and the apartment is pitch black. When the lights come back on, Paolo and Rachel are making out, and Ross is very sad. gotta shoot your shot, bud. In the one where Nana dies twice, Monica and Ross have to rush to the hospital when they find out their Nana is seriously sick. Monica and Ross are sharing their goodbyes, and she reanimates. Not as a zombie or anything, it's not that kind of show. Anyway, Nana dies again. Meanwhile, Chandler is at work feeling super bummed about his total lack of dating prospects. A coworker tries to set him up with someone. A dude someone. Back in Monica's apartment, Chandler asks if everyone thinks he's gay. It turns out, yeah, they do. But no one can really tell him why they think he's gay. He just has a quality about him. A few days later, the whole gang attends Nana's funeral. Ross slips and falls into an open grave and gets hurt pretty bad. And now he's a loopy mess. Out on muscle relaxers, in his out state, Ross confesses he loves Rachel, but she just thinks it's the talking. In the one where Underdog gets away, it's Thanksgiving. Monica and Ross's parents are away, so they're hosting a dinner at Monica's apartment. Rachel was planning on going skiing with her family, but she couldn't scrounge up enough money for a ticket, so her friends all chip in to pay for one. Aw, but Chandler doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving because it's the anniversary of the day his parents told him they were getting a divorce. Oh. Down in the subway, Joey sees the first poster of his modeling debut. He's on a public health poster about STDs. Great! And the poster's everywhere, like gone viral everywhere. Hey, Joey, you know what else goes viral? STDs. Anyway, Joey was banned from his family Thanksgiving, so it looks like he'll be hanging out with the gang this holiday season. On Thanksgiving morning, Chandler rushes into Monica's apartment to tell everyone that one of the parade balloons, Underdog, has flown away. The gang rushes to the roof to check it out and accidentally lock themselves out of the apartment. Uh-oh. By the time they get back in, Rachel's missed her flight and the dinner's burnt. Everyone gets in a huge fight and it seems like the holiday is ruined. But Phoebe sees their next door neighbor, ugly naked guy, with a girlfriend, ugly naked gal, and they're all laughing again soon, and it's not turkey and mashed potatoes, but Monica makes everyone grilled cheese and tomato soup. In the one with the monkey, the gang makes a pact not to bring any dates to their New Year's Eve party. Rachel has an easy out because her boyfriend Paolo is back in Rome. One by one, the gang breaks their promise to each other. First, Phoebe confronts a pair of scientists who are loudly talking during her set, and she starts dating one of them, a guy named David. A few days later, she tells her friends that she really wants to bring Hank to the party. So then Chandler admits that he already invited his ex-girlfriend Janice. A few days later, Monica tells the others that she invited her ex-boyfriend, Fun Bobby. Well, at least he'll be fun. Joey met a hot single mom named Sandy while working as an elf at the mall, so he also found a date. And Paolo caught an earlier flight, so it looks like Ross is the only one that will show up dateless. To make matters worse, Ross is having troubles with his new pet monkey, Marcel. Marcel doesn't seem to like him very much. At the party, Chandler's already getting annoyed with Janice. Who could forget that laugh? Sandy arrives next, and she brought her kids. To an adult New Year's Eve party? Great. Rachel goes up looking like absolute hell. Not only did Paulo miss his flight, but she got into a really bad fight with a woman over a cab. Fun Bobby shows up, and he's not feeling very fun, cause his grandpa just died. And Marcel is still ignoring Ross. Chandler dumps Janice again. Phoebe, on the other hand, is having a great time with David, but they have to break up because he just got a huge opportunity to do research in Russia. So it looks like the gang kept their pact after all. All of them are totally dateless as the ball drops. Chandler complains about not having anyone to kiss, but Joey's got his back. In The One with Mrs. Bing, Chandler's mom is in town. Nora Bing is a flamboyant novelist. The whole gang, plus Nora and Paulo, head to dinner at a Mexican restaurant. Ross is super jealous of Paulo and copes by getting hammered off tequila shots. Later, Nora comforts him and offers him some advice. And a little more than just some advice. The next morning, Ross tells Chandler what happened. Chandler is furious, but he's way more mad at his mom. I mean, yeah, wouldn't you be? Nora apologizes. Chandler says it's not okay, and they end up hashing a whole lot of stuff out before she leaves. Chandler forgives Ross, and so all's well that ends well. In The One with the Dozen Lasagnas, Monica just made a dozen lasagnas for her Aunt Sylvia, who was super ungrateful. She wanted vegetarian lasagnas. Couldn't you have said something hours ago, Sylvia? Meanwhile, Monica sends Ross over to Carol's to deliver a lasagna, where he learns that Carol knows the facts of the baby. Ross wants it to be a surprise, but Monica is super excited to be an aunt. So Carol told her over the phone. Later at Central Perk, Phoebe's really upset. You see, Rachel and Paulo are about to go on a trip to the Poconos, so she recommended that Paulo get a professional massage with Phoebe. But at his appointment, Paulo got a little too handsy with Phoebe. Okay, a lot handsy with her. Phoebe tells Rachel what happened that night. Rachel is shocked, but not mad at Phoebe. Paulo arrives so they can go on their trip, but instead they have a screaming match on the balcony. Rachel dumps his ass, and his clothes too. Off the balcony, that is. Ha! Monica still has lasagnas to get rid of, so she gives one to Paulo on his way out, but she's still mad at him. Ross tries to comfort Rachel over the breakup, but Rachel says she's totally sworn off men. Ross is like, damn it, because he just hyped himself up to make a move. But Rachel's like, oh my gosh, don't worry, I'm sure your son won't be terrible. Whoops, guess Ross knows he's having a boy, and he's really happy about it. In The One with the Chandler accidentally sees Rachel topless when she's coming out of the shower.
That's a relatively open weave, and I can still see your...
Not the time, Chandler! Joey, meanwhile, is being visited by his dad, Joey Sr., who's in town on a business trip. While his dad is on the phone with his mom, Joey swipes the phone to say hi, but oopsies, it's not Joey's mom. It's Joey Sr.'s longtime mistress. Joey's really pissed at his dad about this, and even more pissed when his father's mistress, Ronnie, shows up at his apartment to see him. The next day, Joey's mother, Gloria, shows up and tells him she already knew about the affair, and she's apparently fine with it. Since the affair started, Joey Sr. had been super nice to her out of guilt, so she's fine with the situation. Joey figures it's best to let sleeping dogs lie, even if it is a little weird. Anyway, Chandler saw Rachel naked. Rachel wanted to get back at him, but Rachel accidentally sees Joey naked, who then sees Monica naked, who then sees Joey's dad naked, and Monica definitely got the short end of the stick here. In The One with the Candy Hearts, it's Valentine's Day. Ross is finally going on his first post-divorce date. Unfortunately, when he and his date show up at the Japanese restaurant, Susan and Carol are seated at the same grill table. Soon, Susan leaves for some sort of work emergency, so Ross invites Carol to join them. And Ross ignores his date the rest of the evening. What an asshole. Ross's date eventually bails on them, so Ross asks Carol if they can get back together. Carol's like, obviously not, I'm still a lesbian. But they kiss, and she reassures Ross that he'll meet the right woman someday. Meanwhile, Joey invites Chandler to tag along with him on a double date. At dinner, Chandler's blind date turns out to be none other than Janice. Neither Janice nor Chandler are too happy about this, and Chandler is even less happy when Joey wants to leave dinner early with his date. Joey gives Chandler his credit card, so he and Janice make the best of it. But they get a little too drunk and wake up in bed together. Whoops. The next day at Central Perk, Chandler tries to dump Janice yet again, and she's cool with it. She says that deep down, Chandler obviously loves her, so it's only a matter of time before he comes crawling back. I don't know about that one. In The One with the Stoned Guy, Chandler has huge news. He just quit his job. He's been working as a data processor for the last 5 years, and he's hated it. He was offered a promotion, but he thought that taking it would be making it his career forever. But after taking 8 hours of aptitude tests, he finds out that his ideal job is just the one he quit. I mean, is anyone's ideal job actually data processing? Like, it sounds boring as hell. Like, don't get me wrong, it probably pays good, it's probably fun in its own aspects, but like, man, really?
That's so great, because you already know how to do that.
Don't you just love Phoebe's optimism? Later, Chandler gets a call from his old boss, who offers him a huge raise and an office in addition to the promotion. He's persuaded, but he still hates his job. Meanwhile, Monica is preparing a delicious meal for Steve, Phoebe's client, who's opening up a new restaurant. Monica spends hours upon hours preparing, but when he arrives at Monica's apartment, the guy is stoned out of his mind. He's not interested in anything she made, and would rather raid her pantry for snacks instead. Later, while Steve's with Phoebe for another massage, she takes revenge by digging her elbows into his back. Haha, get him, Phoebes. In the first part of this two-parter, The One with Two Parts, Part 1, hang on, that was a tongue twister. Let me just catch my breath real quick. Anyway, Chandler and Joey are at dinner when they see Phoebe waitressing, except it's not Phoebe. It's her twin sister, Ursula. At Central Perk, Phoebe tells the gang that she hasn't talked to her twin in years. Joey thinks Ursula is super hot and asks Phoebe if he can go out with Ursula. She says it's fine, but clearly she's upset about it. Meanwhile, Ross has been taking Lamaze classes with Carol and Susan, and they watch a birth video, which understandably freaks Carol out. Susan comforts her, and the whole experience makes Ross realize, oh, he's gonna be a dad. Like actually going to be a dad. Oh yeah, and Marcel is playing with the remote when he accidentally changes the language to Spanish, and that's not relevant to the overall plot of the show, but it is pretty cute and funny. Cute monkey. Meanwhile, Rachel is taking down the Christmas lights months after Christmas when she slips off the balcony. Uh-oh. In part 2 of The One with Two Parts, Rachel and Monica are at the hospital to get Rachel's ankle checked out. Rachel is freaking out about the cost as she doesn't have insurance and they live in America, where that is really going to spike the cost of her bill. So Rachel swaps names with Monica so she can use her insurance, which, by the way, is very illegal. Do not do that. Soon after, Rachel is treated by 2 super hot doctors, George Clooney and Noah Pyle. Sorry, my bad. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Rosen. To make matters worse, Rachel agreed to go on a double date with them, which might get complicated. Later, when the doctors are over at Monica's apartment for their date, Rachel wants to fess up about their name swap. Monica's like, maybe let's not tell them we casually committed a felony? They begin to fight, but stuff goes off the rails when Rachel's dad calls, and Dr. Mitchell passes the phone to Monica. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be getting a second date, but they do return to the hospital to fill out the forms properly. Oh, and also it's Phoebe's birthday, which means it's Ursula's birthday, and Joey has a hot date, so he skips Phoebe's surprise party, which kinda hurts her feelings. A few days later, we find out that Ursula has ghosted Joey, and he's heartbroken. After confronting Ursula, Phoebe tries to impersonate her sister to officially dump Joey, but the jig is up when Joey kisses her goodbye. In The One Where the Monkey Gets Away, Rachel finds out that Mindy and Barry are getting married. Now, Rachel wonders if she made the right decision by leaving him. Not being in love with the guy you're about to marry makes it the right decision in my book, but that's just me. The next day at Monica's apartment, Rachel agrees to monkey sit Marcel, but when Rachel leaves the door open, Marcel escapes. When Ross comes back to the apartment that evening, he starts to fess up about his feelings, but Rachel cuts him off and confesses that Marcel is missing. Ross is furious, especially when he finds out that they called animal control. Turns out Marcel isn't just any monkey. He's an illegal, exotic monkey, and animal control would take him away. Monica and Phoebe find Marcel in the basement at the same time as Louisa from Animal Control. She tries to shoot him with a tranquilizer dart, but accidentally hits Phoebe instead. Eventually, the gang tracks down Marcel in the downstairs apartment of their creepy neighbor, Mr. Heckles. And now, Marcel has a tutu. Cute. Louisa comes back and cages Marcel, but when Rachel threatens to sue her for hitting Phoebe in the ass with a dart, Ross gets his monkey back. Ross forgives Rachel and is about to confess his feeling over a bottle of wine, but then Barry walks into the apartment. Without, knocking or anything, dude. You guys gotta lock your doors. Barry tells Rachel that he can't marry Mindy because he's still in love with Rachel.
We have got to start locking that door.
Thank you, Ross. My thoughts exactly. In The One with the Evil Orthodontist, Rachel and Barry are dating again. Ugh. At Central Perk, Rachel tells the gang that she's not over her ex-fiancé. Monica tries to talk some sense into her, saying she probably shouldn't get involved with a guy who's marrying her ex-best friend. Rachel agrees and goes to Barry's office to break things off, but they end up hooking up in the orthodontist's chair. Later, Rachel meets up with Mindy at the coffee shop, and Mindy asks Rachel to be her maid of honor. Oh no. Then, Mindy confesses that she thinks Barry is cheating on her with her. Rachel tells Mindy that Barry is cheating, and she's the other woman. Both gals head over to Barry's office to get him to fess up. Barry says he loves them both, and Mindy tells Rachel she still wants to marry him, and she still wants Rachel to be her maid of honor. That night, Rachel tells Monica that now she knows that leaving Barry was the right call, and I agree. In The One with the Fake Monica, Monica finds out her credit card has been stolen. Rather than doing the normal thing of, calling the police, she decides to track this lady down. Rachel, Phoebe, and Monica go to a dance class that the fake Monica signed up for, and end up meeting her. Turns out this lady is a whole lot of fun. Monica and fake Monica end up hanging out over the course of several days, crashing parties, auditioning for the Broadway musical Cats, and getting drunk in the middle of the afternoon. But eventually cops catch the fake Monica, which is probably the best for Monica's budget. Nevertheless, real Monica visits fake Monica in jail and confesses she knew the whole time, and she just liked hanging out with her because she was fun. Aw, I guess. Meanwhile, Marcel has started humping everything in sight, so Ross takes him to the vet, and the vet tells Ross that Marcel has reached maturity and will need to go live at the zoo with the other monkeys. Now, Marcel is accepted at the San Diego Zoo. Ross has a sad goodbye with him at the airport, and Marcel just humps Ross's leg. Oh, and Chandler convinced Joey to start performing under the name Joe Stalin. Like Joseph Stalin, you know? He finds out pretty quickly, though. Darn. In The One with the Birth, Carol is going into labor. The whole gang heads to the hospital. Susan and Ross quickly get into an argument, and Carol kicks them both out of the room. Phoebe, well-intentioned as always, pulls them aside to lecture them on their bickering, but accidentally traps the trio in the supply closet. Glad somebody's having fun. Eventually, they all get out just in time for the baby to be born, and they decide to name him Ben. In The One Where Rachel Finds Out, it's Rachel's birthday, and the gang is preparing a party at Monica's apartment. Ross swings by to tell the gang that he can't attend as he has to go on a last-minute work trip to China, but he leaves them with Rachel's gift. Later, Rachel is opening her presents and is touched and shocked to find that Ross got her a brooch that she pointed out to him a while back. She can't believe he even remembered. Chandler tries to play it down and is like, well, duh, when he fell in love with Carol, he bought her an expensive crystal duck. And just as the words were leaving his mouth, Chandler realizes he just told Rachel that Ross has been pining for her. Rachel doesn't know what to do, but during a bad date with a self-obsessed loser, she can't get Ross out of her head. She leaves for the airport to meet Ross when he returns from his trip, but it looks like Ross has met someone else. Now let's see what happens in season 2, the one with Ross's new girlfriend. Picks up right where the last episode left off, with Rachel waiting with flowers for Ross at the airport. Ross is obviously surprised to see Rachel and introduces her to his new girlfriend, Julie. Rachel, embarrassed, pretends that the flowers are not for him and rushes back to the apartment. When the trio arrives at Monica's, Ross tells the gang that he met Julie in grad school and they reconnected while in China. Rachel is visibly upset and her friends feel for her. The next morning, it looks like Rachel found a rebound, and no one is happy to see that it's her ex, Paulo. Ross is probably the least happy to see him. Later that night, Ross and Rachel talk on the porch. She says that Paulo was just a fling, and he tells her that she needs to be obsessed with someone who's obsessed with her, like he is with Julie. Oh, poor Rachel. In The One with Phoebe's Husband, Rachel gets a visit at the apartment from a handsome blonde man who's looking for Phoebe. Rachel tells the guy that Phoebe doesn't live there anymore. He just asks that she tell him her husband dropped by. Wait, Phoebe has a husband? I guess I could have covered that from the title. Anyway, later, Phoebe gives a scoop to the rest of the gang. Her husband, Duncan, is a gay ice dancer from Canada whom she agreed to marry so that he could obtain a green card and live in the United States. Later, Phoebe is all dolled up to meet Duncan before his show at Madison Square Garden, when he tells her that he wants a divorce. Apparently, Duncan just figured out that he's straight and found a woman to actually marry. Phoebe's disappointed, but signs the papers anyway. Meanwhile, Ross is having trouble with his relationship, so he decides to talk to Rachel, of all people, Rachel, about it. Poor girl. He says that despite all of their lovey-dovey behavior, they haven't done the deed yet. Rachel still isn't over Ross, so she tells him that actually there is nothing than a man who doesn't want to do the deed. In Ross's defense, the only other woman he's been with turned out to be a lesbian. Later that night, Joey gives Ross the opposite suggestion. And I bet you can guess whose advice he takes. In The One with 5 steaks and an eggplant, Monica gets a promotion. After work, one day, she brings home dinner for everyone. 5 steaks and an eggplant for Phoebe. She got the steaks from a new meat supplier at work. Perks of the job, or it would be, but later at Central Perk, Monica gets a call from her boss who tells her that the steaks weren't a gift, but a kickback. By accepting the steak, Monica broke corporate policy, and so she gets fired. That's so messed up.
You got $5.
In The One Where Ross Finds Out, Rachel has a date. Monica set her up with a guy named Michael, but while they're at dinner, Rachel confesses that she isn't over Ross yet. She downs multiple glasses of wine and gives poor Michael the whole scoop about her situationship with Ross. Michael tells Rachel she needs closure. So, drunk Rachel borrows a random guy's phone to leave a message on Ross's answering machine.
So obviously, I am over you.
Yeah, sounds like you're really over him, Rach. The next morning, Rachel doesn't even remember leaving the message. At the apartment, she tells Ross that she just remembers drinking a lot of wine. Ross uses the phone to check his answering machine, so Rachel tries to stop him from hearing the message by straight up tackling him. but it's too late. Ross hears the message and is shocked. But before they can get into it, Julie arrives downstairs and Ross leaves. Later that night, Ross shows up at the coffee shop to see Rachel. It's happening, guys. Everyone, it's happening. In The One with the List, Ross has no idea what to do. Sure, he just had an amazing kiss with a girl he's been in love with for over a decade, but also he has a girlfriend. Chandler, Joey, and Ross get together and decide to make a pros and cons list of both women. Julie seems to be the better one for him, on paper, so to speak, given that they're both paleontologists. He describes Rachel as spoiled, ditzy, into her looks, and just a waitress. With Julie, all he can come up with is that she's not Rachel. Chandler just got a new computer and decides to transcribe all of this info.
You guys want to play Doom?
Ross leaves Chandler in Joey's apartment to break up with Julie, and when he returns, Rachel stops by and tells her that they can be together. Yay! But Chandler very stupidly left his computer open, and Rachel sees the list of flaws that Ross spelled out. She's devastated, as Ross pointed out some of her biggest insecurities. Ross makes a bunch of grand gestures to apologize, including climbing the fire escape in the rain to stand out on her balcony and read a much nicer list and dedicating a song to her on the radio. But Rachel is way too hurt and isn't interested. And that brings our Ross-Rachel breakup count to 1. In The One with Phoebe's Dad, Phoebe finds out that her grandmother, Frances, has been lying to her about who her dad is. Turns out he's not the stock model guy in all of those picture frames. Sweet, oblivious Phoebe.
Wish me luck, Grandpa.
Frances tells Phoebe that her actual father is a pharmacist who lives upstate and gives her his address. Phoebe, Joey, and Chandler go on a road trip so she can meet him, but once she's there, she can't bring herself to knock on the door, as she's worried he'd reject her, and the guys are so proud of her for taking such a big step. In The One with Russ, Rachel has a new boyfriend named Russ. Russ is a periodontist who looks and acts exactly like Ross, except Russ has fluffier hair. The gang tells Rachel that she's basically dating a knockoff Ross, but she brushes them off until she sees Ross and Russ arguing, which really freaks her out, so she dumps him. Good call, Rach. Meanwhile, Joey's meeting with his agent Estelle, who got him an audition for a role on Days of Our Lives. It's a huge opportunity and the audition went great, but the casting director implies that Joey ain't getting the role unless he sleeps with her. That is very illegal. Joey refuses, saying that's not how he wants to handle his business. So the casting director offers him a bigger role as Dr. Drake Ramore, and needless to say, he sleeps with her to seal the deal. Classic Joey. Monica, on the other hand, got back together with Fun Bobby, except it turns out that the reason Fun Bobby is fun is because he has a drinking problem. No one has ever seen the guy sober. Monica convinces him to quit drinking, which turns Fun Bobby into ridiculously dull Bobby, as Chandler starts calling him. Monica starts drinking heavily to get through Bobby's boring stories. Soon, Bobby dumps her because he thinks she has a drinking problem. Lucky break, Mon. In The One with the Lesbian Wedding, Joey appears on Days of Our Lives. Exciting! What's even more exciting is that Susan and Carol are getting married. What's less exciting is that Rachel's mom Sandra is visiting and tells her daughter that she's getting a divorce. Rachel's upset, understandably, until Sandra tells her that she married her Barry, implying that she never really loved Rachel's father. Ooh, that's kind of rough. It's actually really sad. Meanwhile, Ross is not too happy about Carol and Susan's wedding, given that, his ex-wife is marrying someone else. Just days before the wedding, Carol arrives at the apartment devastated. Her parents are homophobic jerks who are refusing to attend. Ross comforts her, saying, "To hell with her folks." He encourages her to try going through with the wedding and later walks her down the aisle. I'm not crying. You're crying. Oh yeah, and Phoebe was temporarily possessed by the spirit of a client who died on her massage table. I don't believe her at first, but yeah, Phoebe's got possessed. In The One with the Prom video, Monica has a really rough job interview. The guy is a huge creep and comes on to her aggressively, and she storms out. She's still unemployed and running out of money. Poor gal. Been there, my friend. I've been there before. Luckily, her sweet brother Ross lends her some cash. Speaking of Ross, he's still trying to win back Rachel, but she tells him that they are never, ever, ever getting back together. Damn. Sometime later, Jack and Judy swing by the apartment to drop off some old possessions and home videos. The gang puts in an old tape and sees that it's Rachel and Monica's prom video. Turns out, Rachel used to have a different nose, and Monica used to be overweight. In the video, we find out that Rachel's date stood her up. So, Ross throws on his dad's old tux to take her instead. Rachel never knew any of this. because Chip ended up showing up at the last minute. Rachel is deeply touched, and she and Ross finally kiss. Okay, this time, maybe this time it's happening. In the one where Ross and Rachel, Ross and Rachel are super duper in love tonight. Tonight, they're having their first official date. They go to the movies and have a great time. When they get back to the apartment, they start making out, but Rachel's nervous giggling makes Ross feel self-conscious. Meanwhile, Monica's mom got her a gig catering for the party held by their old family friend, Dr. Richard Perk. Richard doesn't even recognize her. It's been that long. Richard is an ophthalmologist and 21 years older than Monica is, but they really hit it off. And it's clear that they're into each other. She even made an eye appointment the next day, even though she just had her eyes checked. The next day, Monica is at her appointment with Dr. Burke. It goes well, like really well. They end up going on a date later that night, actually. Ross is super weirded out, saying he's like a brother to their dad. And then Monica gets weirded out when she realizes that Richard is a grandfather. They decide to break things off, but quickly end up making out again. The morning after her date with Ross, Rachel suggests they have a do-over with candles, a romantic dinner, and, other stuff. That night, Ross has to bail because of the work emergency, but Rachel wants to make up for the night before, so she tags along. The work emergency lasts all night and they miss their reservation, so they have a romantic night in the planetarium instead. And then they wake up naked in the caveman exhibit. Nice. Well, maybe not for them. In the one where Joey moves out, Joey and Chandler get into an argument about Joey's cleanliness habits. Joey gives it some thought and realizes he's making enough money to live on his own. So he's moving out, and it's putting some strain on their friendship. But Joey forgot something at the apartment. Oh, he just forgot a hug. Meanwhile, Ross and Monica are attending their father's birthday party. Word has gotten out around the suburb that Richard is dating a much younger woman. But no one, not even Jack and Judy, realize that it's Monica. But Richard is the talk of the party, so Monica decides it's time to fess up, and let's just say it didn't go very well. But hey, at least they're happy. In the one where Eddie moves in, Chandler is feeling lonely after his roommate breakup with Joey. They talk on the phone and have a great convo while watching Baywatch together. But Rachel and Ross tell Chandler that Joey has moved on and won't be moving back in. But Joey hasn't moved on. He tells Monica and Phoebe that he finds living alone depressing, even with all of his funky new decor. Joey returns to Chandler's place, but Chandler has moved on and has a new roommate named Eddie who just made eggs for breakfast. But Eddie isn't all he's cracked up to be. Get it? Eggs cracked up? Eddie and Chandler don't have much in common, as Eddie isn't into sports, foosball, or Baywatch. Late that night, Chandler and Joey stare out into the rain. Well, Joey's staring into his weird water table thing, realizing how much they miss each other. No, I'm not, I swear I'm not crying. It's just allergies. In the one where Dr. Ramore dies, Joey has a big Days of Our Lives interview, published in Soap Opera Digest. He tells the interviewer that he writes all of his own lines, except he doesn't, which really ticks off the staff writers. To get back at him, the writers put in a plot twist for Joey. Dr. Ramore falls into an elevator shaft and dies horrifically. And that's why everyone should be extra nice to writers. Got it? Anyway, after the episode where Joey's character dies airs, the gang goes over to Joey's apartment. He's really depressed and says the show was the best thing that ever happened to him. Poor guy. In the one where Eddie won't go, Chandler's roommate problems go from bad to worse when he wakes up to find Eddie watching him sleep. You better start sleeping with a knife under your pillow, big guy. Chandler demands that Eddie move out, and he agrees. But the next morning, Eddie is not packing, just dehydrating fruit. The next morning, Chandler tells Eddie to move yet again, and Eddie agrees again. Later, at Central Perk, Chandler tells the group the good news, and that he's finally got Eddie out of his hair. But Eddie claims to have forgotten again, believing that he and Chandler spent the previous day in Las Vegas gambling. Okay, so the guy is totally nuts. Chandler rightfully decides to change the locks. When Eddie shows up, Chandler's like, "Never seen you before in my life. My roommate is this guy right next to me named Joey," which means that Joey has moved back in. In the one with the bullies, Chandler and Ross are bossed around by a couple of mean dudes who accuse them of hogging the couch, and one of them steals Chandler's hat. Hey, that's not very nice. The guys eventually decide to resolve this the way guys often do, by beating the out of each other, but they all end up in the same sides when some street burglars steal their stuff. One of the bullies keeps Chandler's hat, though. Meanwhile, Phoebe makes several attempts to visit her birth father, but he's abandoned his second family 4 years prior. Instead, Phoebe meets her younger half-brother, Frank Buffet Jr., and she learns that their dad was really good at using stilts. And Monica ends up having to take a job at a tacky 1950s themed joint called the Moondance Diner, where she has to dress up and dance on the counter to oldies music. But hey, money is money, and sometimes those tunes do be bumpin'. Oh, the season 2 finale is the one with Barry and Mindy's wedding. Rachel very kindly agreed to be Mindy's maid of honor, despite, everything, but Rachel accidentally steals the show. First, her entire dress was riding up her butt, so she mooned the entire wedding. Second, Barry told everyone that Rachel left him at the altar because she had gone insane from having syphilis. Rachel considered storming out, but just then, third, Barry implies that there was a betting pool to see if she would leave or not. Rachel decides to stay just to spite Barry, and she and Ross sing during the reception. Hell yeah. While at the wedding, Monica and Richard are having the talk regarding their future. Monica is keen to having kids one day, but Richard isn't so sure, seeing that he's already raised kids and has 2 grandkids. While they're dancing, Richard says he'll have kids with Monica if he has to, but Monica tells him that she doesn't want to have kids with somebody who feels like they have to have kids with them. Seeing that they're at an impasse, they break up. Meanwhile, Chandler has been chatting with a mystery girl online. All of his friends warn him that she could be a creepy old dude, or worse, and not who she says she is at all. They decide to meet in person at Central Perk, and the woman is none other than Janice. Well, at least they're happy to see each other this time. Now let's kick off season 3. In the one with the Princess Leia fantasy, Ross confesses to Rachel that he has, a Princess Leia fantasy. What a dork. But low-key, me too. That metal bikini? At Central Perk, Ross finds out that Rachel told Phoebe about this, and now he's really embarrassed. Rachel tells Ross that it's no big deal because the girls talk about this stuff all the time. Ross is mortified. After Monica teases him at Central Perk, Ross and Chandler try to talk about similar things. But Chandler kind of kills the vibe when he says that sometimes he pictures his mother when he's with a woman. Okay, Chandler, that's really weird. Maybe get some therapy, or visit a psychologist, maybe Sigmund Freud. Anywho, speaking of Chandler, he and Janice are super in love now, and Chandler has no plans to break up with her. Joey, who hates Janice, is not too thrilled about this. To remedy the situation, Janice stops by and asks Joey to spend a day of fun with her. So they go to a Mets game together. After Janice drops Joey off at their apartment, Joey confesses that he still can't stand her, but at least they can stand to be in a room together, which is good enough for Chandler. A few nights later, Rachel and Ross are exploring his Princess Leia fantasy, but thanks to Chandler's confession, Ross can't get the image of his mom out of his head. In the one with the flashback, the gang is at Central Perk when Janice asks if any of them have hooked up with each other, or almost hooked up with each other. We flash back in time to 1993, when Central Perk used to be a bar. While there, Chandler makes a move on Rachel after hearing that she wants one more fling before getting married. Rachel isn't really that interested, but she fantasizes about it on the way home. Back at Monica's apartment, Joey is moving in across the hall for the first time. Not like he did last season, but he and Monica get flirty while he's moving some boxes in, and she offers him some lemonade. Joey reads way into this and gets naked. Typical Joey. He's a bit embarrassed and apologizes, and he's lucky that Monica is so cool about it. Late one night at the bar, Ross runs into Phoebe. Carol just told him that she's a lesbian, so now his marriage is over. Phoebe comforts him, and they almost hook up on the pool table, but that's not a very good place to hook up, which kinda kills the vibe. In the one with the race car bed, the gang sees an ad for Mattress King, the store run by Janice's ex-husband. But they're offering really good deals on mattresses, so Monica drags Phoebe along to the store with her anyway.
In England, this car would be on the other side of the store.
Oh, it's okay, Phoebe. I got your joke. Meanwhile, Rachel sets up a dinner with herself, Ross, and her father, Dr. Leonard Green, in hopes that the two men will bond. Dr. Green clearly hates Ross. Things are too tense the entire evening and made worse when we find out that the doc is a bad tipper too. The next morning, Rachel arranges a brunch as a do-over. There, Ross and Dr. Green actually do bond over their criticisms of Rachel, which is not very nice. Later, Monica's mattress arrives and they accidentally send her a race car bed. But Monica's no fun and doesn't want a race car bed. Who the hell doesn't want a race car bed? So she and Joey head to the Mattress King to return it. And while there, Joey sees Janice kissing her ex. What the actual hell, lady? Not in front of my race car bed. In The One with the Giant Poking Device, Joey tells Chandler that he saw Janice kissing the Mattress King. Chandler is devastated and confronts Janice, who admits she kissed him not once, but twice. Good hell, woman. Could she be a girlfriend? Later at Central Perk, Chandler breaks up with her, saying that because she has a kid with her ex, he doesn't want to break up a family. Like Chandler often does with Janice, he quickly changes his mind, but Janice leaves him anyway. Later, the gang is at Monica's apartment when they get worried that ugly naked guy is dead. So they build a giant poking device out of chopsticks to reach all the way across the street and poke him awake. False alarm, guys. Ugly naked guy is alive. In The One Where Rachel Quits, Rachel is getting real tired of her waitressing job at the Central Perk. I mean, she's never been a very good waitress, plus she's wanted to pursue her dream of working in fashion. Joey and Chandler talk her into quitting, and she does. And soon she lands a new gig at Fortunata Fashions. She's so thrilled to never have to make coffee ever again, and very disappointed when she finds out that her new job consists of mostly making coffee for her boss. In The One Where Chandler Can't Remember Which Sister, Rachel is having trouble at her new job. I mean, yeah, it's technically fashion, but she's just doing assistant stuff like making coffee and untangling hangers. By the way, how do hangers even end up like that? Like, that seems impossible. Later, it's Joey's birthday, and Chandler has a little bit too much to drink. Actually, he has a lot too much to drink. Guy had like 500 Jell-O shots and ended up fooling around with one of Joey's sisters. The problem is he can't remember which one. In Chandler's defense, maybe they shouldn't run around wearing nearly identical outfits while looking so similar. Chandler tries to confront Mary Angela, the sister he's pretty sure he fooled around with, and gets caught when he can't tell any of them apart. The sisters are pissed, and Joey isn't happy either. A different sister of Joey's gives Chandler a well-deserved black eye. Meanwhile, after a bad day at work, Rachel goes to the diner to confide with Monica. Another patron, Mark, hears her venting and offers to put in a good word for her at his job at Bloomingdale's, and he even helps her prepare for the interview. Ross, however, does not think that this is very generous, because he thinks that Mark is just trying to sleep with Rachel, and Rachel ends up getting the job, and Ross doesn't seem to be all that happy for her. In The One with All the Jealousy, Chandler plans a bachelor party for his weird cousin, and yes, there will be a
That is so cliche. Why don't you guys get a magician?
I would also like to see that. Meanwhile, Rachel has just started her new job at Bloomingdale's, and she loves it. Ross does not love it, though, as he's jealous that Rachel and Mark are sharing an office. Ross doesn't know that Mark has a girlfriend, but it really shouldn't matter if he trusts Rachel. While Rachel is at work, Ross sends her cards, flowers, and even a barbershop quartet. Sure, out of love, but definitely because he's jealous. Ross swings by the office to see Mark embracing his girlfriend. He freaks out, mistaking her for Rachel. Yikes, this is awkward. A few days later at Central Perk, Ross and Rachel have a little chit-chat about his jealous behavior. She assures Ross that she loves him and wouldn't do anything to jeopardize that, but Ross has got a jet. He has a play date with the from the bachelor party. Yo, get your mind out of the gutter. The has a kid around Ben's age, okay? Okay? Take a chill pill. In The One Where Monica and Richard are friends, Monica runs into a familiar face while returning a rental to the video store. Whoa, I know I said familiar face, but I barely recognize the guy without the stash. They get to talking and realize they still have chemistry, and soon they're having a whole lot more than chemistry. Over the next week, Richard and Monica try to do the whole friends with benefits thing. It's fun for a while, but Monica starts to get jealous when she hears about a blind date he's got coming up. The two discuss their relationship, and they still both want different things. They decide to sleep together one more time for the hell of it, like friends do, I guess. In The One with Phoebe's ex-partner, a new singer named Leslie is at Central Perk. Everyone seems to like her besides Phoebe. Phoebe tells the gang that she and Leslie used to sing together, but broke up when Leslie started doing commercials. Phoebe is still mad at her, but decides to let the past stay in the past. Things are going great until Leslie tells Phoebe that she played her song, Smelly Cat, to her old commercial colleagues. Now Phoebe's really mad and tells Leslie that she won't work with her any longer if she makes commercial songs. Well, maybe Phoebe should have phrased that differently, because now Smelly Cat is a commercial jingle for cat litter, and it doesn't seem like Phoebe is going to get any money from it. Meanwhile, at Bloomingdale's, Rachel has been having a lot of late nights. Fashion is a demanding industry after all. Later, Rachel tells Ross that Mark got a job somewhere else, and Ross is thrilled to hear that, until Rachel tells him that she'll see Mark again at an upcoming fashion seminar. Ross is like, no way, I love fashion, bring me instead. Obviously, Ross is not into fashion. Rachel tells him that he needs to be okay with her work life being separate from him. Ross pretends to agree, but he's definitely not okay with this. Ross, you have got to chill out, man. In the one where Ross and Rachel take a break, Ross is at Monica's apartment waiting for Rachel to come home so they can celebrate their first anniversary. When she's running late, Ross calls Rachel at the office. Rachel is super apologetic and tells him she's putting out a lot of metaphorical fires at work. They're just gonna have to reschedule. Instead of, listening to her, Ross decides to show up at her workplace with a picnic basket.
Oh my God!
Great. Thanks, Ross. Just bring her more fires to put out. Rachel is furious at Ross, reiterating that she is swamped and doesn't have the time for him right now. When she returns to the apartment later that night, she expects an apology, and so does Ross. What? An apology for what, Ross? They argue, and Ross brings up the whole Mark thing again. Exasperated, Rachel tells Ross that she needs a break. Ross storms out and meets up with Joey and Chandler at the bar. He's starting to feel bad, finally, and calls Rachel at home, but terrible timing because Mark dropped by to provide comfort to Rachel. When Ross hears Mark's voice in the background, he assumes the worst and hangs up. He keeps drinking and hooks up with Chloe, who Joey and Chandler were both trying to get with. So not only is Ross being a boyfriend, but he's also being a wingman? This guy gets 0 stars from me. In the one with the morning after, Ross wakes up full of regret. Good, you stupid bastard. He checks his answering machine and hears messages from Rachel, apologizing for the night before. She says she loves him and doesn't want to break up, and that she'll drop by his place to patch things up before work. Except Chloe's still there when Rachel arrives, so Ross hides her behind the door. Ross then quickly heads over to Joey and Chandler's place to figure out what the hell he's gonna do. Joey's suggestion is to follow the trail of people between Chloe and Rachel to make sure she doesn't find out. Ross spends all day trying to prevent Rachel from finding out. He talks to Chloe, who told her coworker Isaac, who has a sister named Jasmine who works with Phoebe. Ross rushes over to the massage parlor to stop Jasmine from telling Phoebe, but Jasmine already told her roommates, Gunther, the manager of Central Perk, who's been pining over Rachel for years. And he obviously tells Rachel what Ross did. Back at the apartment, Ross and Rachel get into a huge fight, where Ross begs for forgiveness, saying he can't imagine his life without her. But Rachel says she'll never see Ross the same way again, and that things are over for good. And that brings our Ross-Rachel breakup count to 2. In the one without the ski trip, the gang is struggling to choose between hanging out with Ross and hanging out with Rachel, as neither of them are too keen on seeing each other right now. Later, Rachel invites everyone to her sister's cabin for a ski trip. Everyone besides Ross, of course. On the way to the cabin, the gang stops at a rest stop, but when they're about to leave, the car runs out of gas. Rachel demands that her friends don't call Ross for help, so Monica distracts her while Phoebe calls Ross to rescue them, which is fair. Honestly, it's super cold outside.
We will just have to live here.
Great plan, Rachel. Anyway, Ross shows up with gas and fills up her tank. He and Rachel fight again and drag the others into it, which makes everything super awkward. Nevertheless, Ross and Rachel promise to try to find a way to be around each other without arguing. The gang then heads off to the cabin without Ross, and when Ross tries to turn around, his car battery dies. Too bad, so sad. In the one with the hypnosis tape, Phoebe's baby brother, Frank Jr., drops by for a surprise visit. Phoebe asks him what's new, and Frank Jr. announces he's getting married. He's only 18, but he insists he's deeply in love with a woman named Alice, who is 26 years older than him and his former teacher. Gross. Meanwhile, the stress of Ross and Rachel's breakup has driven Chandler to start smoking again. Rachel wants to help, so she gives Chandler a hypnosis tape to help him quit. As Rachel's friends said it worked wonders on her, Chandler listens to it, and the woman on the tape keeps repeating that he's a strong, confident woman, and so he starts acting more feminine. I guess that's still a better habit than smoking cigarettes. Later, Phoebe convinces Alice to call off the wedding, but when Alice tries to dump Frank Jr., they end up making out instead. And Phoebe realizes she's just gonna have to live with this. Can someone please call Red Foreman and tell him that Kitty has gone off the rails? Meanwhile, at the Moondance Diner, Monica is courted by Happy Hogan. A handsome tech millionaire named Pete. Pete tips her with a $20,000 check, which offends Monica as she doesn't want to be bought. When Monica confronts him at his office, he tears up the check and asks her out on a date, to which she agrees, when they go all the way to Rome. That's one hell of a first date. In the one with the tiny t-shirt, Rachel calls Ross over to the apartment to return a box of his stuff. Ross gets really childish about this and makes Rachel give him back the t-shirt that he hasn't worn since he was 15, and it's pretty damn tiny on him. Meanwhile, at Central Perk, Monica tells the others that Pete flying her off to Rome is great and all, but she's just not attracted to him. After one too many hair tassels, Pete confronts Monica about this, and she admits that she's just not that into him. But Pete is confident that she'll come around, so they're gonna keep hanging out for now. Meanwhile, Joey gets a lead role in a play he's been wanting. The lead actress, Kate, is dismissive towards him, so naturally Joey has a huge crush on her. Unfortunately, she's the director's girlfriend. The two bicker on set, and then she teases him about a milk infomercial she saw him in. Oh yeah, and they're husband and wife in this play, so there's a whole lot of angry kissing. Later at Central Perk, Mark confesses that he did have a thing for Rachel and asks her out on a date, officially, to which she agrees. The date's a bust though. Rachel felt horrible after kissing Mark and tells him that after the date it's just not gonna work out between them. But Ross still sees Mark leaving the apartment after the date and he's crushed. At the end of the episode, Ross returns the tiny t-shirt. In The One with the Dollhouse, Ross and Monica's Aunt Sylvia dies. Monica has had her eye on her aunt's dollhouse for years, but she's never allowed to play with it. Phoebe never had a dollhouse at all growing up, so Monica invites her over to play with it, but Monica's being really crazy about how people should play with the fancy dollhouse, and doesn't want to deal with Phoebe's whimsy. Phoebe ends up making her own dollhouse out of cardboard, complete with a licorice room and an aroma room. Unfortunately, putting a candle inside a cardboard dollhouse is a fire hazard, and it eventually bursts into flames. Joey, meanwhile, is upset because Kate is the first woman he's met who hasn't liked him back. He tries dating Kate's understudy to get over her. And to make matters worse, the director hates their scenes together. Kate and Joey talk after rehearsals about how to improvise the scenes, and they end up sleeping together. Unfortunately, Kate has no plans to dump the director. This is gonna be messy. In The One with a Chick and a Duck, Joey adopts a baby chick as a pet for him and Chandler. Aww. Chandler's super pissed at first, but quickly he falls so in love with it that he gets them a duck too. Now they're bickering over the caretaking like a married couple. It's actually super sweet.
What you doing?
Having a swim.
At the Moondance Diner, Pete returns from a trip to Japan to tell Monica that he bought a restaurant and wants her to be the head chef. Pete's like, oh yeah, I'm definitely over you. I met a gal in Japan. So Monica accepts the job offer. Monica eventually figures out that he was lying and she tries to turn down the job. Instead of doing that, they end up passionately kissing. Way to play the long game, Pete. Meanwhile, Rachel had a roller skating incident with Monica and ended up with a broken rib. Ross, who just got a TV gig to appear on the Discovery Channel, swings by the apartment and sees that Rachel is in serious pain. She clearly needs to go to the hospital, so Ross cancels his TV appearance, but doesn't tell Rachel until after they get her patched up. Rachel is so touched, telling him that it is the sweetest thing he's ever done for her. In The One with Ross's Thing, Ross finds a weird growth on his butt. He goes to the doctor to get it checked out, but the guy has no idea. Neither do the 24 other people that he calls in to see it. Ross goes to Phoebe's herbalist as a last resort, who removes the strange growth when it catches on his watch. Ross barely seemed to notice, but I feel like that should hurt, technically. Meanwhile, Monica got a call from Pete saying they need to talk when he's back from his business trip to Atlanta. She's panicking, but still has to water his plants. Because, she promised. She brings the whole gang along with her. Weird, but okay, and while Joey's snooping, he sees a $50,000 receipt from a ring designer. Now, Monica thinks he's gonna propose. When Pete's back, he tells her that he's going to train to be a UFC fighter. Oh, he bought that kind of ring. In The One with the Ultimate Fighting Champion, Billy Crystal and Robin Williams make a guest appearance. Neat. Anyway, Phoebe asks Rachel if she can set Ross up with her friend Bonnie, who she says Rachel has met before. Rachel can't remember, so Phoebe tells her Bonnie was bald. Rachel's like, oh, her. Yeah, set her up with Ross. I don't care. But later at the coffee house, we find that Bonnie is no longer bald, but a blonde bombshell. And she and Ross have hit it off really well. Uh-oh. Pete, meanwhile, is going all about on his training to become an ultimate fighting champion. Monica is super supportive, and Ross tags along for the first fight. The fight ends pretty quickly, though, and not because the tech millionaire turned fighter was super good. Pete gets the kicked out of him. Not once, but twice. Monica tells Pete that she can't be with him if he wants to continue pursuing this, and despite his full body cast, he still wants to. So Pete and Monica break up. In The One at the Beach, the gang is heading to Montauk for the weekend to track down a former family friend with ties to Phoebe's father. When they arrive, they find that their beach house has been filled with sand from a rough storm. But these guys still know how to have a good time and end up drinking, playing strip happy days, and making indoor sandcastles. Monica notices that Rachel is getting really flirty with Ross, and Rachel tells her that she's hoping they'll get back together. But soon, Bonnie shows up. Looks like the rain isn't the only thing putting a damper on the weekend. While that's happening, Monica hurt Chandler's feelings earlier by telling him that he wasn't boyfriend material, so he spends the whole weekend trying to prove her wrong.
Hi, I'm Dorf.
Chandler has got to work on his flirting skills. Back with Rachel, she is super jealous of Bonnie and manipulates her into shaving her head again, so Ross isn't attracted to her anymore, which she does. Ross figures out that Rachel pushed her into the idea, and they get into a fight. Rachel tells Ross that she's still in love with him, and they kiss, so now he's gonna have to choose between her and Bonnie. Oof, this is getting pretty messy. Meanwhile, Phoebe meets up with the family friend who has some very huge news.
I'm your mother.
What? After that scandalous season finale, let's kick off season 4 in The One with the Jellyfish. Monica gets stung by a jellyfish. Joey heard that if you pee on a jellyfish sting, it makes the pain go away. Fun fact, actually, for you guys watching, that's not true and can actually make the pain worse. Joey tries to pee on the sting, but he gets too nervous, so Chandler has to do it, and now they're all really weirded out with each other. Back at the beach house, Ross decides to break up with Bonnie, so he and Rachel are back together again. While Ross was handling that, Rachel wrote an 18-page long letter detailing everything about their relationship. He falls asleep while reading it. In his defense, it was super late, and tells Rachel that he totally agrees with the whole letter, except he probably should have finished reading because the letter states that Rachel wants Ross to take full responsibility for their breakup, which he does not. Meanwhile, Phoebe is really upset to learn that her birth mother is actually this other lady who is also named Phoebe, and not a lady who killed herself when Phoebe was 14. Phoebe tells Phoebe that this is going to get really confusing really fast. So, just for sake of convenience, I'm going to refer to Phoebe's mom as Mom Phoebe from now on. Anyway, so Phoebe tells Mom Phoebe that she never wants to see her again and storms out of the beach house. Back in the city, Phoebe tells Ursula that she knew about Mom Phoebe already. Later, Mom Phoebe shows up at Central Perk late one night to reconcile with her daughter. Phoebe is still hurt by the abandonment, but they agree to get dinner. While that happens, Ross and Rachel sleep together again. Rachel tells him she's grateful that he owned up to everything. Unsurprisingly, this leads to a huge fight and they break up again. And that brings our Ross-Rachel breakup count to 3. In The One with the Cat, Phoebe adopts a stray cat that takes a liking to her guitar case. Phoebe also has a strange feeling that the kitty is her adopted mother, reincarnated in the form of a cat. Also, the cat is a boy. Sometime later, Ross finds a poster for a stray cat that looks a lot like Phoebe's mom. Meanwhile, at Joey and Chandler's place, Chandler is really damn tired of the entertainment center that Joey built for them. After Chandler rips the sleeve of his suit jacket on the unit, the pair decide to sell it. They have a guy over to look at the unit, and he offers him $50 or a canoe. Joey and Chandler aren't into the lowball offers, so they send him away. Later that night, Joey is showing a guy the unit by himself.
Sturdy construction, tons of storage compartments, some big enough to fit a grown man.
Joey even volunteers to prove to the guy that a whole adult man can fit inside of it. But that was a really dumb thing to say because the guy has Joey do just that and then steals all their furniture. Soon after, the gang gets together, including Phoebe's cat mom, in Joey and Chandler's empty apartment. Ross convinces Phoebe to return the cat to its owner, and later Joey and Chandler take the guy up on his canoe offer. In The One with the Ballroom Dancing, Rachel is caught by the building maintenance guy, Mr. Trieger, as she is stuffing a pizza box into the trash chute. Trieger is furious because people are always clogging the thing. He yells at Rachel until she cries. Poor Rachel. Joey talks to Trieger to give him a piece of his mind, but Trieger resorts to saying that Monica is illegally subletting the apartment and he can get them kicked out. To prevent that from happening though, Joey agrees to practice ballroom dancing with him, and actually, it was kind of fun. Aww. Phoebe tells her friends that she has a bit of a crush on one of her massage clients, but can't do anything about it because her boss would fire her. But she just can't help herself and ends up biting his butt. Yeah, you heard that right. At a different appointment, they end up making out, but Phoebe's boss catches them. Turns out, this guy is married. Phoebe's boss calls her a not-so-nice word and fires her. In The One with Joey's New Girlfriend, Chandler tries to hit on a pretty girl at Central Perk, but she's already waiting for her date, and that date is none other than Mr. Joey Tribbiani. Chandler and Joey's new girlfriend girlfriend, Kathy, really hit it off. They like the same TV shows and stay up all night talking. Joey invites Chandler out to dinner with him and Kathy, and Chandler tries to blow them off because he has a huge thing for Kathy and doesn't want to hurt his friendship with Joey. But this just leads Joey to believe that Chandler doesn't like his new girlfriend, so Chandler goes to dinner and ends up being kind of rude, which makes Joey insist that at least pretend that he likes Kathy. Sweet, 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 dumb Joey. Chandler crashes at Monica's that night because he's too heartbroken to be around Joey and Kathy while they, have some fun time. In The One with the Dirty Girl, Ross has started dating a beautiful, smart woman. There's just one problem. She's 30, and not in the fun way either. Her apartment is absolutely disgusting, with dirty clothes and trash everywhere. Ross is almost willing to overlook it, but hits his limit when he kills a rat in a bag of potato chips. Meanwhile, it's Kathy's birthday. Chandler spent a whole lot of time getting her a very thoughtful gift, an early edition of the book The Velveteen Rabbit, which she told him was her favorite. Joey, on the other hand, gets her a pen that's also a clock. Chandler decides to swap gifts so he doesn't way outshine Kathy's boyfriend, but Kathy figures out that Chandler actually gave her the book and he must have feelings for her. In The One Where Chandler Crosses the Line, Chandler tells everyone, besides Joey, that he can't stop thinking about Kathy, and since her birthday, there's been a weird flirty energy between them. Later, Chandler is further frustrated when he finds out that Joey is seeing another woman. Come on, Joey! Later that night, Kathy shows up at their apartment and Joey is running late from his other date, so she ends up giving Chandler a haircut and things get pretty tense. Joey ends up calling to cancel his date with Kathy, and Kathy and Chandler make out. Chandler says they have to squash their feelings because Joey's his best friend. And then they make out again. Chandler feels horrible, so he buys them all new furniture. Nice furniture, even. Later that night, Chandler confesses that he has feelings for Kathy, and Joey's like, great timing, she just dumped me, but I think there's another guy. Guilty, Chandler tells him about the kiss, and Joey's furious. Mostly because Chandler went behind his back, which is kind of hypocritical because Joey was literally going behind Kathy's back, but oh well. In The One with Chandler in a Box, Joey is still really mad at Chandler. Hell, he won't even talk to Chandler. And when he finally does, Joey tells Chandler he's planning on moving out. He says it's not about Kathy, he just doesn't think that Chandler's a very good friend. Chandler begs for forgiveness and eventually they come up with a solution. Since Joey spent all that time in the entertainment center thinking about how he let Chandler down, they're gonna do an Ono reverse. Chandler is gonna sit in a wooden box for 6 hours and think long and hard about what he did. Later that night, Kathy shows up at the apartment. She apologizes to Joey, but he says that Chandler is the one that he's mad at. Kathy talks to Chandler in the box and tells him that they need to break things off, as she's not willing to come between two best friends. Joey's so moved by this that he lets Chandler out of the box and says they'll be fine, and tells him that he can still catch Kathy. The others then watch Chandler and Kathy kiss from the balcony. Oh, that's frickin' sweet. I was totally rooting for them. In The One Where They're Going to Party, Phoebe and Monica have started a catering business. They even bought a van. Monica has also started to work as a food critic for a small publication. She writes a review for a restaurant named Alessandro's, just tearing them apart for the horrible food and service. Soon, the owner comes to her apartment to chew out Monica, but she stands by her writing and even offers to make him food to prove a point. Her point was proven. The owner, Alessandro, hires Monica as his head chef. Monica gives Phoebe the news because she's not going to be able to run a catering business and be a head chef. Phoebe's upset at first, but they work it out. After all, Phoebe is happy that her friend just got her dream job. On Monica's first day at Alessandro's, the other employees already hate her because the guy she just replaced is their dad. Meanwhile, Ross and Chandler have a friend from college coming to town, and this friend really knows how to party. That night, they find out their friend has to cancel, so Ross, Joey, and Chandler decide to have a wild night out themselves. That night, they head to the coffee shop for a pick-me-up, hoping to get a second wind, but they're exhausted. And they all confess that they want to go home, so they do just that. And I don't blame them. Being an adult is exhausting. When we cut to Rachel's workplace, where there's an opening for a promotion, Rachel asks her boss, Joanna, to put a good word in for her. Instead, Joanna makes her look terrible during the interview. Later, Rachel confronts Joanna, and she tells Rachel that she's just too good of an assistant to promote. Furious, Rachel is about to quit, but Joanna says she'll make a new position for her that includes an office, an expense account, and a raise. But the next day, Rachel hears that Joanna got hit by a car and died. Eesh. Joanna was kind of a bitch, but Rachel is devastated. Not because Joanna died, but because she never filed the paperwork for Rachel's new promotion. Rats. In The One with Phoebe's Uterus, Frank and Alice are back in town, and they just got married. and they have a big favor to ask of Phoebe. They want her to be their surrogate. Phoebe is shocked and goes to her birth mother for advice. Mom Phoebe gives her daughter a puppy to watch for a few days, and she says that the puppy will be hard to give up, and a baby will be even harder. Mom Phoebe was right. At the end of the 3 days, she doesn't want to give up the puppy. At Central Perk, Phoebe gives Frank and Alice the puppy as a test. But seeing their looks of joy made her so happy that she decides to carry their baby. Whoops.
I want to carry your baby. Oh.
In the one with the embryos, Chandler and Joey's chick is all grown up, and now he's a rooster. Cock-a-doodle-dooing at the crack of dawn. The girls are grumpy from the lack of sleep. Making matters worse, Joey bets Monica that he and Chandler know more about them than she and Rachel know about the guys. This turns into a full-on trivia quiz hosted by Ross, and the stakes get higher and higher. Soon, just money is not enough. The girls ask Joey and Chandler to get rid of their birds if they win a game, and the guys agree. But if they win, they get Monica and Rachel's apartment. In the lightning round, the guys pull through, and they get the girls' apartment. Phoebe, meanwhile, is at the fertility clinic with Frank and Alice to get the embryos implanted. Phoebe's really starting to feel the pressure because her brother and sister-in-law told her that they spent all of their savings to complete this procedure. A procedure that only has 25% chance of Phoebe getting pregnant. Later, Phoebe comes back to Monica's, or soon-to-be Joey and Chandler's place, and Frank and Alice follow soon after, wanting Phoebe to take a pregnancy test. And it looks like it worked. She will be having her brother's baby, but not in a weird way. In the one with Rachel's crush, Rachel's department at work is being shut down, so she's demoted to being a personal shopper. She's ready to quit, but changes her mind when she meets Joshua, a newly divorced guy who needs to buy an entirely new wardrobe. Rachel wants to ask him out, but she's never done that before, and she's nervous. Rachel takes Joey's advice and invites Joshua to the Knicks game by telling him she has 2 tickets. But he misunderstands it and winds up taking his nephew instead. Meanwhile, Chandler is not great at dating an actress. He gets really jealous when Kathy makes out with a handsome co-star and accuses her of cheating. Kathy isn't having that though and tells Chandler to call her when he grows up. A few days later, Chandler goes over to Kathy's apartment to apologize, only to find out that Kathy did start sleeping with Nick. Go figure. Back at Monica and Rachel's new apartment, the gang consoles Chandler.
Well, if she thought they were on a break...
This is not the time, Ross. In the one with Joey's dirty day, Joey goes on a fishing trip with his dad and comes back smelling very terrible. And instead of taking a shower, he needs to learn his lines for his upcoming movie role. But he passes out while reading and oversleeps. He rushes to set and ends up showering in the lead actor's dressing room, only to get caught by said lead actor. Awkward! Back at work, Rachel finally gets asked out by Joshua. Unfortunately, she already promised her new boss that she would take his adult niece, Emily, to the opera. Lucky for her, Ross agrees to take Emily to the opera, and that night at the club, Rachel didn't even see Joshua since the club was so packed. But Ross had a great night. The next morning, we find out that Ross and Emily ended up in a bed and breakfast all the way in Vermont. Tough luck, Rach. Later at Central Perk, Ross even thanks Rachel for introducing them. Ugh, even tougher luck. In the one with the free... Joey and Chandler find free... What else? When flipping through the TV channels. Wow, the 90s were an innocent time. Afraid they're going to lose access, they just decide to never change the channel. Ever. Across the hall, Ross visits Monica, upset that Emily's 2 weeks in America are over. She's back in England, and he doesn't know if he'll ever see her again. So Monica encourages Ross to go after her. And Ross does just that. He meets Emily at the airport, telling her he loves her, and Emily says, "Thank you," before hopping on the plane. Ouch. Later, Emily calls Ross and says there's someone else. Double ouch. But Monica's very interested in this love story and tells him to go to London to fight for her. He does, but soon Emily shows up back at Joey and Chandler's apartment looking for Ross. Eventually they catch each other on the phone and decide to be together. Phoebe, meanwhile, is getting her pregnancy checked out at her OBGYN appointment. Phoebe is pregnant with not 1, not 2, but 3 babies. Triplets. Alice and Frank are happy at first, but quickly become worried about how much it's going to cost. Soon enough, Phoebe and Rachel come up with an idea for a masseuse/transportation company called Relaxicab to help Frank and Alice pay the bills. The one with Rachel's new dress. Rachel is planning a very romantic date with Joshua. She's even having Monica cook for them so Rachel can pretend it's her own cooking. When Joshua shows up, he's freaked out to see the rooster and the duck, who have migrated across the hall. Rachel kicks the birds out, but Joshua is still freaked out, so they decide to go to his parents' place for the night, as they're out of town. Joshua and Rachel arrive at his parents' place, and she goes to the bathroom to get into her lingerie. But then, his parents come back home early from their trip to France. Man, Rachel just cannot catch a break with this Joshua guy. Rachel didn't see them come in and poses on the couch. Rachel is mortified and tells Joshua's parents that no, this is totally a new dress. She works in fashion and she's testing to see how people respond. To make matters worse, Joshua's dad proposes they all go out for dinner. Great. In The One with All the Haste, Rachel is woken up way too early on a Saturday morning by a neighbor with a beautiful singing voice. She heads to the other room to rant at Monica and Joey, but Joey says he loves the singing neighbor. Sometime later, Rachel and Monica try to bribe the guys with Knicks season tickets to get their apartment back. The girls propose a winner-take-all bet with a game of high card draw. The guys win and snag their tickets so they can head straight to the game. Dang, honestly, Monica and Rachel better not head to Vegas anytime soon. When Chandler and Joey get back, they find out that while they were at the game, Rachel and Monica swap their furniture, moving back into their original apartment. Joey's ready to drop it, but Chandler is furious. The girls propose a final offer.
Rachel and I will kiss for 1 minute.
All's well that ends well. Meanwhile, Ross is love-struck by Emily and wants her to move to New York to be with him. Joey and Chandler tell Ross that that's a bad idea because they've only known each other for 6 weeks. Ross ignores them and asks Emily to move in with him. Emily isn't too sure, so Ross is like, oh, to hell with it. Let's just get married. And Emily agrees. Oh, second time's a charm, right, Ross? Ross and Emily show back up at Monica and Rachel's to deliver the news of their engagement. Rachel is super sad about it. But hey, at least she can be sad in the right apartment. In The One with All the Wedding Dresses, Monica and Phoebe go to the bridal shop to pick up Emily's dress. But Monica is mistaken for the bride. Monica's like, when in Rome, and tries on the wedding dress. And then she tries on the dress again when she's back at home. Phoebe knocks on Monica's door, and Phoebe is also wearing a wedding dress. They start tossing a paper bouquet back and forth and have a nice evening before realizing how depressing the whole thing is. Rachel, meanwhile, is pretty bitter about the wedding, even more so when Ross says it's happening next month. Later at Central Perk, Rachel starts getting pushy about Joshua. Like, really pushy. Joshua is really freaked out by this, because, you know, they've only been on 4 dates, and that's pretty insane. Rachel looks like a total maniac, and she figures she's been dumped. Back at the apartment, Rachel tells Monica and Phoebe that she thought she and Ross would eventually get back together. Rachel is super sad, so Phoebe proposes that they get drunk on the couch while wearing wedding dresses. And then guess who shows up?
Yeah, well, that ought to do it.
Man, Rachel cannot catch a break this season. In The One with the Invitation, Ross and Emily are writing wedding invitations when Ross writes one for Rachel. He reflects on their relationship, remembering a time that she encouraged him to continue his relationship with Emily and thought it could be for the long haul. Later at Monica's apartment, Phoebe is disappointed that she can't attend the wedding since it's in London and they don't let you fly in the 3rd trimester. Meanwhile, Rachel isn't sure if she can handle going emotionally, but she promises Monica that she'll think about it. She reflects on her time with Ross, too. Rachel realizes that it'd be too hard to see Ross marrying someone else, and decides to not attend the wedding after all. In The One with the Worst Best Man Ever, Joey and Chandler get into a fight over who gets to be Ross's best man. Ross eventually lands on Joey, who throws a low-key bachelor party. Unsurprisingly, Joey ends up sleeping with... More surprisingly, the stripper steals the wedding ring. The guys find and confront her, but the stripper tells them that she makes way more money than they do and definitely doesn't need to steal a ring. Ouch. Back at the guy's apartment, they realize where the ring went. The duck ate it. They take the duck to the vet and he gets the ring out. And the ducky is just fine. Ross is relieved and then touched by the efforts of his buddies and decides to make them both the best men. Aww. In The One with Ross's Wedding, Joey, Monica, Chandler, and Ross are getting ready to head to London. Ross is really upset that Rachel isn't coming to his wedding, but I don't know, man. I think I'm with Rachel on this one. Later, Phoebe and Rachel have a heart-to-heart, and Rachel finally realizes that she's been in love with Ross this whole time. Against Phoebe's advice, Rachel decides to fly to London at the last second to tell Ross her feelings. But when she finally gets there, she sees Emily and Ross kissing and just congratulates Ross. But when it comes time for Ross and Emily to say their I do's, Ross says the wrong damn name at the altar.
Take thee, Emily. Take thee, Rachel.
Ross, do you have ears? Or do you know how to follow instructions? And you know what else happened while everyone was in London? Monica and Chandler slept together, and I ship it, honestly.
Who wouldn't want you?
In the one after Ross says Rachel, we find out what the hell happened after Ross said Rachel's name at the altar instead of Emily's. Emily goes through with the ceremony and Ross has never looked so uncomfortable in his life. Emily somehow manages to wait until she and Ross are behind closed doors to give him a well-deserved gut punch. Ross leaves Emily like a million voice messages, telling her to meet him at the airport, because he's still serious about her. At the airport, Ross bumps into Rachel while she's waiting for her own flight. When it doesn't seem like Emily is coming, Ross invites Rachel to their honeymoon trip in Greece. She boards the plane ahead of Ross, and then Emily does show up, only to see Ross leaving with Rachel. And then Ross turns around, abandons Rachel, and follows Emily. Ross, what the hell is wrong with you? Good lord! Looks like Rachel is going to Greece alone. But who really suffers through all of this is Chandler and Monica, who really want to hook up again but can't find a place alone because Ross and Rachel keep bothering them with their problems. In the one with all the kissing, Rachel returns from Greece, acting cool as a cucumber after Ross ditched her at the airport. Obviously she's not cool with what Ross did because it was super messed up. Ross, meanwhile, can't get a hold of Emily in London, and she's been dodging his calls since the airport incident. Rachel tells Ross that she's still in love with him and he's a huge jerk about it, and is like, yeah, but I'm married now. Rachel starts laughing hysterically, probably because Ross must think he's really something special. Meanwhile, Chandler and Monica are still hiding their relationship, but they get a little too comfortable and forget that they're not alone.
And Rachel, great to have you back.
Nice save, big guy. Chandler makes it a point to kiss everyone as he's leaving the room to keep up the facade. Rachel tells him to please stop, and he's like, sorry for trying to bring a little culture to the group, you guys. Later, Phoebe tells everyone that she's jealous of their London trip, so the gang decides to head to Atlantic City, and that's when Phoebe's water breaks. Looks like they're going to the hospital instead. In the 100th episode of Friends, the gang is at the hospital waiting for Phoebe to give birth. Phoebe is a little nervous when she realizes her nurse is obsessed with the Fonz from Happy Days, but she decides to roll with it. Phoebe tells Rachel that she wants to keep one of the babies. Just one, though. To be fair, Phoebe, 3 babies is a lot of babies. Rachel talks to Frank on Phoebe's behalf just to make sure he's not trying to get rid of one of his kids. And he's not. Anyway, Phoebe gives birth to a boy and 2 girls, and gets a moment to chat with them alone. She's really upset to be giving them up. Phoebe tells the babies that she wishes that they could hang out every day, but she'll settle for being a really cool aunt instead. The 4 of them cry together, and now I'm crying too. In the one where Phoebe hates PBS, Joey got a gig on a PBS telethon. But Phoebe doesn't like PBS, and she tells him this. See, when she was a kid, she wrote a letter to Sesame Street after her mom killed herself, and no one ever wrote back. What the f***, Elmo? Ross, meanwhile, has been calling all of Emily's relatives to try and get a hold of her. Emily finally calls him to tell Ross to stop harassing her relatives. But that's not all. She's touched by his efforts and wants him to move to London. Pretty fair if you ask me, considering all Ross put her through. But Ross does have a kid in New York, so that's not really going to work out. So Emily agrees to move to New York on one big condition. He has to cut Rachel out of his life. At Central Perk, Rachel presses Monica for more info on the guys she's been seeing. Monica apparently told Rachel that it's the best she's ever had, and Chandler just loves hearing this. Chandler then starts acting like a real jerk about them hooking up, embarrassing Monica, and they get in a fight, so Chandler apologizes and said that she's the best he's ever had, by far. He even says she can call all the other girls and ask, which wouldn't even take her very long. Oh man, I love them together so much. In the one with the Kips, Chandler and Monica decide to have their first weekend getaway together. When they get there, the hotel room isn't up to Monica's standards, so she insists on changing rooms multiple times. This leads to a big fight, and the weekend ends up being very unromantic and very sucky. Not the good kind of sucky, if you know what I mean. Meanwhile, Ross somehow managed to convince Emily to move to New York, meaning he's going to have a friendship breakup with Rachel. Rachel's devastated and heartbroken, and tells the rest of the gang at Central Perk that she's worried about being phased out of the friend group. Sometime later, Chandler talks to Monica, saying he assumes that their little fling is over after the bad weekend, and he's clearly pretty upset, which Monica finds very sweet. It's not over at all. Oh yeah! A bit later, Joey pieces together a few clues and realizes that Chandler and Monica are hooking up. Joey's eyes look like he's about to burst, but they manage to drag him off and swear him to secrecy. Yes! I love secret relationships in a sitcom. So much room for tomfoolery. In The One with the Yeti, the gang is at Central Perk when Ross tells them that Emily is insisting that he gets rid of everything that Rachel ever touched. Okay, that's kind of weird. What's even weirder is Gunther, who agrees to buy everything that Rachel ever touched. Get a life, Gunther. And Emily tells Ross that if she's going to move to New York, she doesn't want to live in an apartment where Rachel has been. Emily's cousin is willing to sublet his place to Ross, but the apartment is far away from work and way uptown. Ross insists that he's okay with this, but the demands are starting to get a little, well, demanding. Hey, wouldn't it be funny if Emily put Ross through all this trouble and then never showed up? That would suck. Later in the apartment building's storage room, Monica and Rachel are looking for a waffle iron, which is under a can of bug bomb. They are then scared by a Yeti-looking man with a pickaxe, who turns out to be their downstairs neighbor Danny. They spray him with the bug bomb and then run away. Oh, that was super rude. Later they head over to apologize, but he brushes them off. A few days later, Rachel runs into him when picking up the mail, but this time he's not looking nearly as Yeti-like. He's actually kind of handsome. Danny makes a snide comment about Rachel being too into looks, and she chews him out. He must have liked this, because then the two go out for some pizza. Anyway, after the others help move Ross out of his apartment, they're back at Monica and Rachel's for dinner. Emily calls and gets mad at Ross for continuing to spend time with Rachel. Ross tells her that if the relationship is going to work, she has to trust him. Emily agrees, but since she can't trust him, they decide to get a divorce. Thank the Lord, this whole thing was a mess, dude. In The One Where Ross Moves In, Emily's cousin kicked Ross out of the apartment he was subletting, so he's going to be crashing at Chandler and Joey's for the time being. He even added himself to their answering machine.
We will call you back.
Don't quit your day job, Ross. Meanwhile, Chandler and Joey start getting annoyed with Ross, who doesn't like hearing them play foosball, which is a huge part of what they do over there. The guys then go apartment hunting, and Ross takes the hint that he's overstayed his welcome. So he puts in an application for a tiny studio apartment. Now Chandler and Joey feel guilty, so they decide to sabotage the application. Aww. Ross is grateful to have a place to stay for the time being and promises to be slightly less annoying. Rachel, meanwhile, has been hoping for a second date with Danny, but he won't ask her. Seems like he's not interested, Rach. Danny then invites Rachel and Monica to his housewarming party. Rachel pretends she can't attend, but shows up fashionably late. But at the party, Danny introduces Rachel to a friend of his, thinking they would make a great couple. Ouch. In The One with All the Thanksgivings, Ross tries to claim the title of Worst Thanksgiving Ever, given his divorce and eviction, and this leads to the others trying to one-up him with their own tales of Thanksgivings past to see who actually has the worst. Chandler recalls the story of his parents' divorce, Joey recounts the time that he got his head stuck in Monica's turkey, and Phoebe shares the story from her past life when she was a nurse in the American Civil War and lost her arm. Phoebe wins. After that, Rachel asks Monica to share the story of her worst Thanksgiving. And in a flashback to 1987, it's Rachel and Monica's senior year of high school when Ross returns from college with his roommate, Chandler. Monica is immediately smitten by Chandler despite his absolutely insane haircut, but later she hears him calling her fat. Chandler, WTF! Back in the present, Chandler is deeply apologetic. Monica says that she was so upset she stopped overeating and started working out. Rachel tells the group that wasn't the Thanksgiving she was talking about. She meant the next year when Monica tried to take revenge on Chandler and accidentally dropped a knife on his foot, cutting off the tip of his toe. Now it's Monica's turn to apologize, and rightfully so. So she goes over to his apartment with a turkey on her head and adds a fez and some sunglasses for good measure.
You're so great, I love you.
Ah, he loves her and she loves him. They're so cute. In The One with Ross's Sandwich, Ross ain't doing too hot. Someone ate his sandwich at work, and he's kind of having a meltdown about it. And let me tell you, this isn't just any kind of sandwich. This is the Moist Maker. Go look that thing up. Valid crash out. Valid crash out on Ross's part. Phoebe helps Ross write a scary note to prevent anyone else from stealing his food. And now his work nickname is Mental Geller. Yeesh. Ross's boss calls him into a meeting for his bad behavior and sends Ross to a psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist gives Ross a tranquilizer and some meds to chill him out. And he has to take time off work. Meanwhile, it's getting harder and harder for Joey to keep his mouth shut about Chandler and Monica. And Chandler leaving his underwear over at their apartment didn't help. But Joey is a sweet baby angel and continues to cover for them, even at the cost of making himself look like a total pervert. Things come head to head when Monica gives Chandler a naked picture, but Joey finds it on the floor floor of their apartment. Rachel catches Joey looking at it, and he's forced to reclaim the narrative to not look like a total psycho. So Joey tells the other that he and Monica slept together in London, and now she's obsessed with him. In The One with All the Resolutions, it's New Year's Eve. To kick off the year 1999, the gang shares their New Year's resolutions. Ross resolves to not get a divorce this year, but when Rachel points out his divorce isn't final yet, he alters a resolution to just get one divorce this year. It's the little things, Ross. Joey wants to learn how to play guitar, and Phoebe wants to learn how to fly a commercial aircraft. And honestly, I'm more confident in Phoebe. Chandler is challenged to not make fun of his friends for a whole year, but that impossible task is adjusted to a week. Meanwhile, Rachel is challenging herself to stop gossiping. By the next day, Chandler and Rachel are already going insane from their resolutions, and Rachel is really put to the test when she overhears a very flirtatious phone conversation between Chandler and Monica. She rushes over to Joey's place, because who wouldn't need to talk about this, but Joey tells her to zip it because he's tired of keeping secrets and she's not supposed to be gossiping. Later, Joey and Rachel are talking when she pieces together that he already knows about Chandler and Monica hooking up. I bet they are so glad to have someone to talk to about the whole scandalous affair. In The One with Chandler's Work Laugh, Rachel confronts Monica about the phone convo she overheard her having with Chandler, but Monica doubles down, insisting that Rachel misunderstood. Sometime later, Rachel goes to Chandler's place to confront him and Monica. Rachel overhears Monica say that she hates having to lie to her best friend, but they just aren't ready to tell everyone what's going on. Rachel decides to give them their privacy, but knocks over a lamp on the way out, blowing her cover. Monica is like, yeah, this is just my new job. It's cleaning for Chandler. Pay no attention to the fact that I'm wearing his boxer shorts. Rachel's like, yeah, I sure believe you. I was just coming over here wanting to borrow a lamp to look at my books. Later, at Central Perk, Ross tells the gang that Emily's getting married again, and he's so mad that he feels like he needs to smash up a scone with his fist over it. The gang is worried sick when they don't hear from Ross all night, but it's revealed that he was just hooking up with Janice? Janice of all people? Come on, Ross. A few days later, Ross and Janice go on another date where he unloads all of his problems on her, and Janice gets really annoyed by all his bitching and moaning, so she dumps his ass, and now he has another thing to be sad about. Meanwhile, Chandler and Monica are attending an office party as a couple. Cute. Monica even makes Chandler look better just by hanging out with him. Now his boss Doug and his wife Kara want to do tennis doubles. This would be great if not for Monica's super competitive streak. They're absolutely kicking ass, which is a far cry from Chandler's usual kissing ass. Chandler throws the game to let his boss win, which gets the couple invited to dinner. Monica tells Chandler that she hates that he's a suck-up at work, but after Doug gets really butthurt when Chandler doesn't laugh at his jokes, Monica understands why he does it. In The One with Joey's Bag, the gang is at Central Perk when Joey tells them about an upcoming audition where he needs to look fashionable. When Rachel sees Joey put on a top hat, she realizes the poor guy needs a lot of help. So she brings him to Bloomingdale's and gives him a whole new outfit for the audition, including a purse. A man's purse. The guys make fun of Joey, but he loves the bag. You do you, Joey. Unfortunately, the casting director at the audition didn't like the bag either, and Joey doesn't get the part. Meanwhile, Phoebe's grandmother passed away, and she's organized a memorial service. She introduces herself to a man she doesn't recognize, and the guy turns out to be her father, Frank Sr. Phoebe tells Frank Sr. that she's not his kid, but the executor of the will, and convinces him to meet her at Central Perk. While there, Frank tells Phoebe that he wanted to talk to her adopted mother, Lily, and Phoebe has to break the news that she's been dead for over a decade. Phoebe goes on to say that she's not the will executor, she's his daughter. It's awkward, but they make up a bit when Frank tells Phoebe that he used to sing her a song to the tune of Smelly Cat. The next episode is titled The One Where Everybody Finds Out. And I bet I know what's gonna happen in this one, and I bet everyone's gonna find out. But the first thing that happens in the episode is that ugly naked guy is moving out of his apartment. Strangely, many of his boxes are labeled clothes. So Ross, Phoebe, and Rachel head across the street to check out the new apartment, as Ross is considering renting it. While checking out the view, Phoebe sees Chandler and Monica taking each other's clothes off. Phoebe is so caught off guard that she starts shouting. Rachel shouts back, telling Phoebe to chill out so Ross doesn't find out. And then when Ross returns, the girls act like they're just super stoked about the new digs. Phoebe is happy for Monica and Chandler despite the initial shock. Anyway, now that Phoebe knows too, she tells Rachel and Joey that it would be really funny to mess with Monica and Chandler. So, Phoebe aggressively hits on Chandler and pinches his butt later in the apartment. But Monica's probably related to Sherlock Holmes because she figures out that Phoebe knows about them. Later, Chandler and Monica approach Joey, who tells them that Phoebe and Rachel know about them. Monica then realizes that they don't know that they know that they know. Does that make sense? So Monica and Chandler decide to mess with Phoebe. Chandler and Phoebe have a fake date where they both flirt with each other to get the other one to break, and they have the world's most uncomfortable kiss. Chandler tells Phoebe that she wins and he can't hook up with her because he's in love with Monica. Aw, so cute. Oh yeah, and Ross got ugly naked guy's apartment, but once he's there, he sees Monica and Chandler hooking up through the window and starts freaking out, so now everyone knows. In The One with the Girl Who Hits Joey, picks up right where the last episode left off. Ross is super mad until Monica and Chandler tell him that they're in love. Ross is upset that he's the last to find out. Later at Central Perk, Joey has a new girlfriend named Katie. She's really cute and nice, but she keeps punching Joey, and it kinda hurts. Katie soon does her little teasing punch to Rachel, and Rachel also thinks it hurts. Rachel kicks Katie, and Katie says that if Joey doesn't do anything, she'll dump him. And Joey's good with that, so relationship over. And that's a quick one. Meanwhile, Chandler quickly gets tired of all the teasing about him and Monica getting married, having kids, and generally being in a serious adult relationship. Chandler tries to turn down the heat and makes some comments to Monica about their relationship being casual. But this just pisses her off, and she storms out of the apartment, saying she doesn't need to deal with his commitment issues. You tell him, Mon. Later, Chandler finally just proposes to Monica to atone for his sins, and Monica's like, do you realize how insane it is to propose as an apology? So they aren't getting married right now, but their relationship is back on the up and up. In The One with the Cop, Phoebe finds a wallet at the Central Perk, and it has an NYPD badge inside. She has a good time busting people for putting out cigarettes on trees, until she gets busted herself by the cop whose badge she borrowed. Later, the cop comes by Monica's apartment and introduces himself as Gary. Plot twist, he asks Phoebe out. Meanwhile, Ross bought a new couch for his apartment and recruits Rachel and Chandler to help him move it. But they have to cut the couch in half to get it unstuck from the stairwell. Man, Ross is really striking out this season. In The One with Rachel's inadvertent kiss, Rachel is at a job interview with Ralph Lauren. The interview went great, but when she was leaving, she accidentally gave the interviewer, Mr. Zellner, a kiss on the cheek. Miraculously, she got a second interview, but walked in with ink on her lip. Zellner tried to tell Rachel that she's got a little something on her face, but she takes it as an advance and storms out. When Rachel gets back to the apartment, her friends point out the ink blot, and she's horrified. Sometime later, Rachel returns to Ralph Lauren to complete her second interview, and she gets the job. Way to stick the landing, Rach. In The One with the ride-along, the guys go on a ride-along with Gary while he's scoping stuff out. Some random car backfires, scaring the bejesus out of them, and Ross is a huge drama queen about it, telling everyone he had a near-death experience. Meanwhile, Monica and Rachel are having a girls' night in, complete with margaritas. Except Rachel's gotta go next door and get the ingredients and a blender from Ross's apartment. While there, Rachel hears a voice message from Emily, who's having second thoughts about her divorce from Ross. Emily has got to get some therapy. Like, girl, make up your mind. Rachel thinks they should tell Ross about the message, but Monica thinks it's best to let it go. And when Rachel accidentally deletes it, Monica gets what she wanted. Unfortunately, Rachel decides to tell Ross about the message from Emily anyway, since he also had his near-death experience earlier. He decides that maybe the whole day was a sign from the universe that he dodged a bullet by not marrying Emily. In The One with the Ball, Joey and Ross are playing catch and realize neither of them have dropped it for 2 hours. Nice. Monica joins in, and soon Chandler does too. I guess it was just hours and hours and hours of this. Ah, the days before the internet, where attention spans were not killed by 6-second videos. Meanwhile, Gary asks Phoebe to move in with him. She's not sure at first, but eventually agrees because he got really sad when she said no. Not a great reason to move in with someone if you ask me, but hey. They wake up in bed together, to the sun shining and the birds chirping, and Gary fully shoots them with his gun. Oh no. Okay, so no more birds chirping. Phoebe decides it's probably best to dump Gary. When Phoebe gets back to Monica and Rachel's apartment, the gang is still playing catch. They throw the ball to Phoebe, but she's bummed out and puts the ball on the table. Game over. Still though, they had a pretty good run. In The One with Joey's Big Break, Joey just found out that he got the lead role in an independent thriller film. They're filming in Las Vegas, so Chandler and Joey take a road trip there. Well, they only make it as far as the George Washington Bridge, cause Chandler hurt Joey's feelings when he said he didn't think it was his big break. Looks like Chandler's walking home. After a long drive, all by himself, Joey finally arrives on set in the desert, only to find out that the film has shut down production because they ran out of money. Joey decides to make the best of it and gets a job as a gladiator in Caesar's Palace instead. Not exactly a big break, but I bet he gets free buffet food. In the season 5 finale two-parter, the one in Vegas, Monica got lunch with Richard while Chandler was away. Not in a sketchy way, they just ran into each other and had lunch. Monica tells Rachel and Phoebe she feels nothing for Richard anymore and is happier than ever in her relationship with Chandler. In fact, Monica later gives Chandler their first anniversary present, a day early. It's tickets to Vegas. Phoebe, meanwhile, still feels left out from missing the London trip and insists that everyone goes to Vegas. While on the plane, Phoebe lets slip to Chandler that Monica got lunch with Richard and now they're fighting. On a different plane, Ross draws a funny face on Rachel's with permanent marker. Unfortunately for Rachel, the marker won't come off and now she's refusing to leave the hotel room, so Ross and Rachel get drunk and play blackjack in the room instead, and it looks like Rachel's winning. Later, Chandler and Monica make up, and after, she tells Chandler that he's the love of her life. They win big at the casino and are like, you know what? It's Vegas. What the hell? Let's get married. But when Monica and Chandler arrive at the little white chapel, a different pair of newlyweds bursts through the doors, drunk off their asses, turning them off to the idea. The pair of drunk newlyweds? None other than Ross and Rachel. Damn it, you two, we can't take you anywhere. In the one after Vegas, Ross and Rachel wake up with serious hangovers and zero recollection of getting married the night before. At breakfast, the rest of the gang tell them about the wedding. Ross and Rachel eventually remember that they did get married, leading the others to tease Ross because now he has to get a third divorce. Ross doesn't want to be the guy who always gets divorced, and tries to convince Rachel to stay married, but she's not interested at all. Back at home, Monica and Chandler discuss their own impulsivity, since, they were gonna get married before they saw Ross and Rachel, and they realize they aren't ready to get married, but they do want to take a step forward in their relationship. So Chandler's moving in with Monica. In the one where Ross hugs Rachel, Ross tells Rachel at Central Perk that he got the annulment taken care of. Then he sits down to tell Phoebe, "Just kidding, I didn't do that at all." Phoebe tells Ross that he's obviously still in love with Rachel. Ross denies this, which is crazy because I've known he's been in love with her for 6 seasons now. Later, Monica and Chandler tell the others that they're moving in together. Joey cries a little. Sweet guy. Rachel misunderstands and believes that Chandler will be moving in with the both of them. So Monica explains to Rachel that she's got to pack her. Rachel is devastated. I mean, it's the end of an era. Rachel seeks comfort in Ross, who is definitely not in love with her. In the one where Joey loses his insurance, Rachel has decided to move in with Ross. Phoebe calls Ross out on his nonsense, saying that he can't expect Rachel to move in, fall in love with him again, and just be pleasantly surprised to find out they're still married.
Oh, she'll just be happy. You're very sad.
Okay, it didn't seem like the world's worst plan until Phoebe said it out loud. Ross is saved by the bell when he gets a call from NYU. They want him to be a guest lecturer. Oh, his wife is going to be so proud. Meanwhile, Joey lost his health insurance, and just in time for the poor guy to get a hernia. He refuses to go to the hospital because, in the American healthcare system, it's not really that cheap. Luckily, Joey's pain gets him an acting role as a dying man, so at least he'll get insurance again soon. Later, while Rachel is unpacking at Ross's apartment, she picks up a phone call from his divorce lawyer, leading Rachel to realize that she's still married. So he storms to Ross's NYU lecture to yell at him. Fair point. Looks like these two aren't going to be living together this time. In the one with Joey's Porsche, Rachel is understandably still angry that she isn't divorced. She forces Ross to get the marriage annulled, filling out the paperwork saying Ross is gay, mentally unstable, and addicted to intravenous drugs. Okay, that is much less understandable. Rachel, cool your jets. The judge doesn't grant Ross and Rachel the annulment, so they have to pay for the divorce. At Central Perk, Joey finds a key to a Porsche. He sees the car parked outside and starts to leave a note, but loves all the attention it's getting him. So he keeps the keys for a few days, not to drive the car, but just to look awesome while standing next to it. Pretty cool, big guy. The owner takes his car back, obviously, so Joey decks himself out in head-to-toe Porsche gear, hoping to get the same attention. Back at Ross's apartment, he and Rachel get into an argument about their relationship. They are both obviously still in love with each other, but they sign the divorce papers anyway. Oh yeah, and Rachel confesses that the drunken wedding was definitely her idea. Not cool, Rachel, what the hell? And that brings our Ross-Rachel breakup count to 4. In the one on the last night, it's Rachel and Chandler's last night in their respective apartments. Rachel will be moving in with Phoebe, so the girls are going to have a celebratory night out. Except one tiny detail. Rachel hasn't started packing her. Good thing Monica loves packing and being in charge of stuff. While packing, Monica and Rachel get super sad. So Phoebe suggests they list the things they won't miss about each other. This backfires and they get into a huge fight. So Phoebe gets Monica to say some nice things about Rachel instead, and now everyone is sad and crying. But in a good, healthy way. You know, they love each other. In the one where Phoebe runs, Rachel is officially moved in at Phoebe's place. They decide to go on a run together, but have different running styles. Rachel is embarrassed to be seen with Phoebe, and her feelings are hurt. Rachel gives Phoebe's running style a try, and she has a lot of fun, actually, until she runs into a horse. Meanwhile, Joey has a new roommate, a super hot dancer named Janine. Joey's friends advise him not to flirt with her since they are roommates who just met each other. But Janine assures him she's just not attracted to him. Bummer, dude. In the one where Ross got high, Monica and Chandler are preparing to host the Gellers for dinner. Monica's like, oh yeah, quick thing. I never told them that we're dating because they don't like you, so try not to mention that you live here. Ah, cool. When Jack and Judy Geller show up, Chandler tries to kiss up to them, and it's not going well. Ross fesses up that once in college he got high in his bedroom and blamed the whole thing on Chandler. So now Jack and Judy hate Chandler for introducing their son to weed. Ross won't tell his parents the truth, so Monica tattletales on him. The truth comes out. Monica and Ross have a shouting match, revealing to their parents that Ross and Rachel got drunkenly married in Vegas and then divorced. Ross hasn't worked at the museum in a year, and Chandler and Monica are living together. Big day for the Geller family, let me tell you. Jack and Judy are so appalled with their children's behavior, but good news. They love Chandler now, because their kids are a mess, and they need a good influence. In the one with the routine, Janine gets a dancing spot on Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, and asks Joey, Monica, and Ross to come along for the taping. Ross and Monica are geeking out, as they're huge fans of Dick Clark, or New Year's Eve even, or something. While at the taping, Monica and Ross pull out a dance routine they choreographed in the 8th grade. Unfortunately, it's not super cool, and probably won't get them on TV. After they're back at the apartment, Janine confesses to Joey that she was hoping to kiss him during the fake NYE countdown, but Joey's more than happy to let her make up for it now. The one with the apothecary table, Joey and Janine are officially dating. They go on a double date with Monica and Chandler, but bad news, Janine hates Monica and Chandler. Joey tries to hide this from his friends, but they quickly find out, and now they hate Janine. Joey tells Janine he just can't choose her over Monica and Chandler, who are like his family. So it looks like Janine is going to be packing her bags here pretty soon. Meanwhile, Rachel bought a new apothecary table from Pottery Barn, except Phoebe hates Pottery Barn because it's all mass-produced. So Rachel lies and tells her that she bought it from a flea market. In fact, Rachel tells Phoebe all of her new furniture is antique, but it's all from the Pottery Barn. The jig is up when Rachel and Phoebe pass an actual Pottery Barn and Phoebe sees the same furniture inside, but Phoebe sees a lamp that she likes and decides to buy it. Hypocrisy much, Phoebes? In the one with Rachel's sister, Joey is working at Central Perk to make ends meet, but things aren't going too well. He keeps giving pretty women stuff for free. Completely understandable, to be honest. Joey gets in trouble with Gunther, who wants his business to earn a profit, or something like that. It's kinda lame, but it's... Meanwhile, Rachel's little sister, Reese Witherspoon, Jill, stops by for an unannounced visit. Jill tells Rachel that their dad cut her off financially and she needs a place to stay for a bit. Ellie Wood's villain origin story? Would have never seen that coming. Later at Central Perk, Ross and Jill get a little flirty, and Phoebe passes on the info to Rachel, who starts spiraling about Ross hypothetically getting married to her little sister. Rachel tries to talk her sister out of dating Ross, but ends up doing the opposite. So now Jill and Ross are going out on a date. That was dumb, Rach. In the one where Chandler can't cry, wait, like ever? Like he can't cry? Like Chandler can't cry at all? Hasn't he seen that part of The Lion King? Everybody knows the one where Simba's dad falls and dies, and man, that scene really like me up every single time. Anyway, in this episode, Joey, Phoebe, Monica, and Chandler are watching E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and everyone is crying besides Chandler. Now all his friends think he's dead inside. Meanwhile, at the coffee shop, Rachel asks Ross to not see Jill anymore. Ross calls her to dump her immediately, but that night Jill comes over anyway. She practically pounces on Ross, but he stops her. Ross tells Rachel he would never date her sister if it made her uncomfortable. Aww. Chandler was incredibly moved by this and starts sobbing.
I just don't see why those two can't work things out.
Oh, me too, big guy. Me too. In the one where Ross dates a student, Ross gets a glowing review from a student who calls him the hottie of the paleontology department. The student, Elizabeth, asks Ross out, and he says yeah. They have a great time, but she's not even 21 yet. Yikes. And after a closer look at the NYU handbook, Ross finds out that it's against the rules to date a student, and he could get fired. But they hook up anyway. Yeesh, this guy, dude. Meanwhile, Rachel accidentally left her hair straightener on and causes a fire in the apartment, so Phoebe is temporarily moving in with Monica, and Rachel is temporarily moving in with Joey. Phoebe quickly gets annoyed by Monica being in super duper host mode, but Rachel is loving how chill Joey is to live with. In the one where Ross meets Elizabeth's dad, Elizabeth's father, Paul, swings by Central Perk to meet Ross for the first time. Paul immediately hates Ross. Yeah, that'll happen when you date a college student, big guy. Paul asks Rachel out, and they go on a double dinner date with Ross and Elizabeth. At dinner, Rachel keeps trying to talk Ross up, but it's a sitcom, so her efforts backfire spectacularly with live studio audience in the background. While Rachel is in the bathroom, Ross brings up Carol while talking about his son. And Paul says he didn't realize that Ross was married before. When Rachel comes back, she's like, oh, our marriage was no big deal. We were just drunk in Vegas.
Whoops, I'm sorry, you were talking about Emily.
Jeez, Rachel, are you trying to sabotage this guy? You know, actually, now that I think about it, she might actually be trying to sabotage this guy. In the one where Paul's the man, Paul tells Ross that if he continues seeing his daughter, he will call NYU and have him fired. But instead of listening to him, Ross and Elizabeth are going to head out of town to her grandmother's cabin for the weekend. Later, Phoebe, Rachel, and Monica head to a museum and see the gorgeous wedding venue over there. The venue has a 2-year-long wait list though, but the girls straighten up anyway, reasoning that if they aren't engaged, they can just cancel. Unfortunately, Monica gets a call to the apartment while Chandler is there. He hears a message saying that a different wedding was canceled and the Geller Bing wedding can be moved up. So now he's totally freaked out. When Chandler and Monica get a chance to talk, Monica explains the situation, assuring him that she's not trying to pressure him to get married. But Chandler was bluffing. He is ready to get married.
I can't believe you're gonna ask Monica to marry you.
I know.
Oh my gosh, guys, it's happening. It's happening. At the upstate cabin, Elizabeth leaves to buy and Ross slips something into a little more comfortable. Damn, Ross is shredded. I never noticed that before. While she's gone, guess who shows up? Rachel and Paul. Oh boy. Ross hides under the couch and Rachel spots him. But she doesn't want Ross to get fired, so she tries to help him stay hidden. Of course, that wasn't gonna work for too long, and Ross is eventually caught with Elizabeth. But while Ross was hiding, he heard Paul give himself an embarrassing, dorky pep talk. Ross calls him out on it, saying they aren't all that different. So for now, Ross has bought himself some time. In The One with the Ring, Chandler takes Phoebe with him to go ring shopping. They find the perfect one, but Chandler doesn't have his credit card on him. While he's running to get it, another lucky guy buys the ring instead. Phoebe and Chandler track the poor sap down and trade him for a more expensive ring, blowing his cover on the proposal. But at least Chandler's surprise isn't ruined. Don't care about the other guy. Meanwhile, Rachel is frustrated that she can't get Paul to talk about his feelings, so she tries to get Paul to open up. Unfortunately, her efforts go way too well, and now he's a sobbing basket case. So Rachel dumps him. In the season 6 finale, the one with the proposal, Ross is getting more ribbing from his friends about his relationship with Elizabeth. Ross insists that she's mature for her age, but when he heads over to her apartment to take her to a play, she's having a water balloon fight with her friends instead. That is the last straw for Ross, and he dumps her. Meanwhile, Chandler and Monica are at dinner, and our boy is nervous. He's just about to propose when none other than Richard shows up. Richard and his date join them for dinner, and Chandler can't bring himself to go through with his plan. After dinner, Joey and Phoebe tell Chandler to throw Monica off the trail by pretending he's really against marriage. But when Monica is at work, Richard shows up and tells her he's still in love with her and wants to marry her. Oh, Richard. Later, Monica wants reassurance from Chandler that he's serious about her, but he doubles down on his marriage is dumb plan. His acting is so convincing, in fact, that she leaves the pizza place to go get advice from Richard. Monica blows off some steam and has a drink with him before heading back home to think. Chandler arrives at Richard's after Monica leaves and gets his own chance to blow off some steam. Chandler tells Richard that he was going to propose, and Richard tells Chandler to go get her, and to not let her go like Richard did. Okay, maybe Richard is nice after all. When Chandler arrives back at the apartment, Joey tells him it's too late. Monica is upset, and she went to her parents' place. Chandler heads inside only to find that Monica has set up a really romantic candlelit evening in their apartment. Monica tells Chandler how much he means to her, and then she starts crying. Monica knew he wanted it to be a surprise, so she surprises Chandler by proposing first. She's too emotional to finish her own proposal. Aww. Chandler pulls out the ring and she says yes. In The One with Monica's Thunder, the gang is celebrating Monica and Chandler, and Rachel is feeling a little lonely. She confides in Ross, of all people, about this and suggests they have a bonus night, where they hook up as exes, no strings attached. Rachel, are you trying to mess with this poor bastard's feelings? Get some therapy! Soon, Ross and Rachel are making out in the hallway, and now Monica's upset because the night was going to be about them getting back together instead of her engagement. So, Monica and Rachel get into a huge fight, and Monica tells Rachel that she's been stealing her thunder since high school. Rachel admits that she was a little jealous since she isn't even close to being married, but she is really apologetic and they make up. In The One with Rachel's Assistant, Joey and the gang watch his new TV show, Mac and Cheese. It was really bad and really weird, which is why you just found out about it. The next day at Central Perk, Joey tells Monica, Rachel, and Phoebe that he got a call from the producers of Days of Our Lives, who want him to play Dr. Drake Ramore's twin brother, Stryker. Rachel has her own good news. She was promoted by Ralph Lauren himself to head a department, complete with her very own personal assistant. Later, Rachel is about to hire a very well-qualified woman, but she chooses an attractive guy named Tag instead, solely on the qualification of him being handsome. And she spreads rumors around the office that he's gay, so no one else will flirt with him. Bummer for Rachel though, because Tag is actually interested in Phoebe. When Joey heads to the Days of Our Lives set, he's offended when they want him to audition. So he storms out, and later that night he gets a call from the Mac and Cheese producers, who tell him the show has been canceled, so now he's gotta go crawling back to Days of Our Lives. But they've already hired someone to play Stryker, so Joey is playing Drake again. In The One with the Nap Partners, Monica tells Phoebe and Rachel that she isn't sure how to choose a maid of honor, so they can decide between themselves. That is incredibly chaotic behavior. They end up flipping a coin and Phoebe wins, meaning she gets to be Monica's maid of honor. Later, Rachel brings Phoebe everything she's prepared over the years, and Phoebe is moved by how long Rachel's been thinking of this, and gives the position to Rachel. That's just beautiful. Meanwhile, Joey and Ross fall asleep while watching a movie and end up taking a nap and snuggling together. Aw, they're embarrassed and agree to never talk about it, but later they realize it was the best nap they've ever had, so they keep doing it. And by doing it, I mean napping, not any other kind of doing it, you perverts. In The One where Chandler doesn't like dogs, it's Thanksgiving. Rachel found out that Tag's girlfriend dumped him, so she invited him to Monica's for dinner. Kind of a weird thing for a boss to do. Rachel's not sure if she wants to make a move or not, but Monica and Phoebe convince her to just be his friend. Joey sees them hugging and lets slip that Rachel has a crush on him, but before Tag can respond, he sees his car getting stolen and leaves the apartment. Later, when he returns from the police station, Rachel apologizes, but Tag says she doesn't need to be sorry at all, and they kiss. Bad idea.
The only thing that freaked me out was you saying that nothing could ever happen between us.
Guys, come on. Terrible idea. Terrible idea. Please, stop. Meanwhile, Phoebe snuck a dog into the apartment. That's so cute. Dogs are the best. Unfortunately, Chandler is terribly afraid of dogs to the point where he lied about having a dog allergy for years. You know, maybe he is dead inside. In The One with All the Cheesecakes, Chandler and Monica were accidentally delivered a cheesecake. Chandler and Rachel eat it anyway, despite it being for one of their neighbors. A few days later, they're delivered another cheesecake and eat the other one too. Late one night, Chandler catches Rachel eating a cheesecake without him. They split what's left, but Rachel drops her half on the floor, and then she makes Chandler drop his too, but don't worry, they decide to just eat it off the floor instead. Get your together. Meanwhile, Joey and Phoebe made dinner plans, and Phoebe's not happy when Joey bailed on her for a date. So they decide to hang out next night instead, but the next morning, Phoebe runs into her ex-boyfriend, David, at the coffee house. Remember the guy who went to Russia for science reasons? That David. He says he's only in town for a night and asks her out to dinner. Given that she just gave Joey a whole speech about how it's not nice to bail on friends, Phoebe knows she has to keep her plans with Joey, so she's just gonna rush through them instead. Phoebe tries to wrap up her Joey plans super fast so she can go on her date, and Joey gets mad at her for being hypocritical. Phoebe storms out to meet up with David, but he still goes back to Russia at the end of the night, and Joey gives Phoebe a shoulder to cry on. In The One where they all turn 30, it's Rachel's 30th birthday. Rachel is bummed bummed about it, leading to the rest of the gang reflecting on their own 30th birthdays. Turns out none of them had a good time. Ross bought a big dumb sports car, Monica showed up totally hammered to her formal surprise party, Phoebe found out that she was actually 31, and Joey cried at his and Chandler's 30th birthday parties. All of their reminiscing is making Rachel realize that Tag is too young for her and too immature for her future plans, and she breaks up with him. In The One with the Truth About London, Rachel is doing a little bit of babysitting for Ross. She's hanging out with Ben for a few hours, who's played by the most adorable version of Cole Sprouse I've ever seen in my life. Rachel teaches Ben some practical jokes, so obviously he goes and plays them on his dad. Ben got you so good, Ross. Later, Ben and Ross do some father-son bonding and pull a prank on Rachel. Karma. Meanwhile, Monica and Chandler decide to make Joey their wedding officiant. He's writing his speech when he asks about their first night together in London, but Monica reveals that she was intending to hook up with Joey that night, but he wasn't around. Joey's like, hell yeah, but Chandler's feelings are hurt. Joey meets up with Chandler at the coffee shop and talks him down, saying whatever Monica was thinking that night, they are meant for each other. In The One with Chandler's Dad, Monica is upset when Chandler tells her that he never invited his dad to their wedding. In typical Monica fashion, she packs their bags and tells Chandler they're going to Vegas to meet him. Chandler and Monica soon arrive at the drag show in Vegas to see Helena Handbasket, also known as Charles Bing. Chandler tells Monica that actually, Charles, has tried to get in touch with him for the last few years, and Chandler is super uncomfortable with seeing his dad in drag. He can't handle it anymore and stands up to leave, but he should know that's a rookie mistake at a drag show and gets called out by Helena. Charles is hurt to see Monica's ring, and even more when she says the wedding is just in a few weeks, but Chandler still loves his dad and wants him to be a part of his life. He asks Helena to come to the wedding, and she says she wouldn't miss it for the world. Honestly, who wouldn't want a drag queen at their wedding? Helena Handbasket seems fun. And now for the season 7 finale, the one with Monica and Chandler's wedding. Before the big day, Ross wants a quick talk with Chandler, man to man. Ross tells Chandler that if he hurts his sister, he will hunt him down and kick his ass. And then he brags to Monica and the girls about this. Yeah, I'd laugh at that threat too. Meanwhile, Joey got a role in a movie about World War I and realizes he has work on the day of the wedding. That might get complicated since he's officiating the damn thing. Anyway, just before they go to the wedding rehearsal, Monica thanks Chandler for being so relaxed leading up to their wedding because she thought he would panic. Moments later, Chandler hears their new answering machine referring to them as Mr. and Mrs. Bing, and he starts to panic. To make matters worse, Chandler's mom and dad start bickering like, well, two old drag queens. Late that night, Ross can't find Chandler. He left a note on the counter which reads, "Tell Monica I'm sorry." Ross heads out to look for Chandler. Rachel and Phoebe are instructed to not let Monica find out. The next morning, Phoebe finds a positive pregnancy test in the bathroom of the apartment and tells Rachel that Monica must be pregnant. Ross still can't find Chandler, so Phoebe joins him in the search while Rachel stalls by complaining about her own lack of marriage prospects. Phoebe and Ross find Chandler in his office panicking. Obviously, he says he loves Monica, but he's worried that getting married will make them miserable. Take Ross and his 3 failed marriages, for example. Phoebe and Ross convince Chandler to show up to the wedding, but he leaves again after hearing Rachel and Phoebe talking about Monica's pregnancy. So, Ross and Phoebe track down Chandler again, and Ross tackles him to the ground as promised. What a good big brother. Chandler then says he's going to go through with the wedding because he loves Monica and wants to be a good father. The wedding goes on as planned. Oh, thank goodness. The last 35 minutes were stressful, dude. Joey shows up to officiate in the nick of time, still in his World War I costume. And it works though. Monica and Chandler proceed with the vows.
You may now kiss the bride.
Thanks, Joe. As everyone is clapping and cheering, Chandler whispers to Monica that he knows about the baby. She's like, what the hell are you talking about? I didn't take a pregnancy test. The camera then cuts to Rachel. Turns out, she's the one that's pregnant. In The One After I Do, we find what happens right after Monica and Chandler's wedding. Ross and Phoebe confront Monica about her pregnancy, which, remember, she's not pregnant. And Phoebe and Monica realize that Rachel is the one who's pregnant. But she isn't ready to tell anyone. She's also being tight-lipped about who the father is. Meanwhile, Ross is trying to impress Monica's colleague, Mona, by dancing with all the little girls who ask him. Aww. Unfortunately, Ross ends up dancing with children the entire evening, which is not part of the plan. In The One with the Red Sweater, Rachel tells Monica and Phoebe that she won't reveal who the father of her baby is until she's able to talk to him herself. Later, Joey tells Monica and Phoebe that about a month ago, a guy slept with Rachel and left behind a mysterious red sweater in the apartment. Phoebe must think it's Tags, so she arranges a meeting between him and Rachel at Central Perk. Guys, it's totally Ross, right? Like, it's gotta be, not Tag. But Tag is already wearing his identical red sweater, so he's not the father. He tells Rachel that he's ready for a more serious relationship until he drops the bomb that she's having a baby, and then he's less interested. What an asshole. Back at the apartment, Ross sees something that belongs to him. The damn red sweater. And I'm just saying, I called it. From the get-go. I called it. In the one where Rachel tells, the gang tells Rachel that they know Ross is the father. Later, Joey and Phoebe tell Ross that Rachel really needs to talk to him. Ross says that he was afraid something like this might happen. Rachel obviously wants to sleep with him again. How full of himself is this guy? Joey and Phoebe are both like, ha ha ha, yeah, Ross, you really need to talk to Rachel like right now. When Ross returns home, Rachel is waiting for him. He preemptively tries to turn her on, but she interrupts him by telling him the big news, and he's literally speechless. One of the reasons this was such a shock to both of them is that they used a... Fun fact, those are not 100% effective, it's more like 97, and Ross being Ross decides that now is a good time to complain to the company, so Rachel takes that as her cue to leave. Later, Ross meets up with her for the sonogram appointment, saying he wants to be involved. In fact, he's ready to get married again, but Rachel doesn't want to, saying she isn't in love with Ross, so they shouldn't. Okay, so we all agree that these two are in love, right?
But Ross, we're not in love, are we?
No, but...
Right? Or is it just me? I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, Rachel insists that she can do this alone, and Ross holds her hand while they look at the sonogram. In the one with the videotape, the gang wants to know all the dirty details about what led up to Rachel's pregnancy. In typical Ross and Rachel fashion, they both blame the other person for starting it. Ross then admits that the whole thing was on videotape. But hang on. It's not as creepy as it sounds. It's not. Don't think that way. About 6 weeks ago, Ross was getting advice from Joey on how to get laid, since it had been a really long time. Joey told him the backpacking in Europe story, a made-up tale that's so that everyone who hears it wants to have... On a date, Ross tried this out himself, but was too awkward to pull it off. Joey then suggests that Ross videotape himself to build up his confidence. While he was doing just that, Rachel came over, wanting help sending out Chandler and Monica's wedding invitations, and Ross forgot all about the camera. Soon after, Ross explains himself, and he gives the tape to Rachel to destroy it, but everyone really wants to see everything leading up to their hookup, and Ross is like, okay, fine, but you're going to be embarrassed, Rachel. They watch the tape where Rachel begins telling Ross a story about backpacking in Europe.
Ross, did I ever tell you about the time that I went backpacking through Western Europe?
Busted, Rachel. Damn lying. You're busted. You're busted. In the one with the gang is at Central Perk when Phoebe notices a from Monica's secret bachelorette party. Chandler is bummed since they weren't supposed to have bachelor parties. So Monica throws one for him and hires a to come dance for him. When the woman comes over that evening, the guys quickly realize she's not a she's a oh boy. Later, Rachel drags Phoebe along to get dinner with her dad because she doesn't want to be alone when she tells him that she's pregnant. Dr. Green is not too happy to find out that the father is Ross, and even less happy when he finds out there won't be a wedding. So, Rachel saves face by saying that Ross is very unsupportive. Now that's just evil. Speaking of Ross, things have been going really well with Mona, the woman that he met at the wedding. They're making out at his apartment when Dr. Green shows up to yell at him for not supporting Rachel. So, guess Mona knows about the baby now. Lucky for Ross, though, Mona is the most chill person alive and doesn't mind getting in the middle of their complicated relationship drama, so she and Ross are staying together. Meanwhile, Monica rushes back home when she realizes she hired a hooker, which she obviously did not mean to do. So, since Chandler doesn't have a hooker, Monica strips for him instead. Definitely wife of the year. In the one with the rumor, it's Thanksgiving. Monica doesn't want to make a turkey because Phoebe's vegetarian. Chandler hates Thanksgiving food, and Rachel is poultry averse due to her pregnancy. Joey will not let this stand though, and says he'll eat the whole turkey himself if necessary. Monica also invites a former high school friend named Will to dinner. And you guys, it's crazy. This Will guy is the spitting image of Brad Pitt. Will has lost 150 pounds since college and is apparently unrecognizable. Unless you're like me and think this guy looks exactly like Brad Pitt, I swear. Anywho, Will hated Rachel in high school, but Rachel doesn't remember him at all. Ross and Will were friends, however. They even had an I Hate Rachel Green club, where they were the only two members. Pretty cool stuff, guys. Will even started a rumor about her that she was a hermaphrodite. I think this is the last time the gang will be hanging out with Brad Pitt. Oh, and Joey ate all of the turkey. He had to put on Rachel's maternity pants to finish it, but he did finish it. In the one with Ross's step forward, Mona's ready to take her relationship with Ross to the next level. She wants to send out Christmas cards. Ross thinks it's a pretty big step for a couple that's been dating for a few months, so Mona asks, "What are we?" Which is totally valid and totally fair. But instead of answering, Ross says, "Let's send those holiday cards." But now it's even more awkward between them, so Ross tells Mona he loves her, even though he doesn't. And Mona tells Ross that she loves spending time with him too. Ugh, this sucks. In the one where Joey dates Rachel, Joey tells Rachel that he has a date coming up, and Rachel says that she misses dressing up for romantic evenings. Joey offers to take her out for a romantic evening just for the hell of it, and they have a great time. A really great time. In fact, the time was so great that Joey now has a huge crush on Rachel, and he can't stop thinking about her during this actual date. I genuinely believe the writers were just running out of ideas at this point for the show, because Joey and Rachel are not a good fit at all. Like, not a good fit. When Joey comes back from his date, Rachel is watching a scary movie, and she's petrified, so Joey holds her. I think he might be catching feelings for her. In the one with the secret closet, Joey and Rachel feel the baby kick for the first time. Aww, but Joey feels guilty not wanting to hurt Ross. Later, Rachel starts having pain and Joey rushes her to the hospital. It's just contractions and she's gonna be fine, but Ross is upset that he missed that too. Especially when the doctor assumes Joey is the father. Joey is struggling with his feelings for Rachel and suggests that she move in with Ross. Rachel and Ross thinks that is a good idea, despite their feelings for each other. Yeah, they don't love each other at all. Meanwhile, across the hall, Chandler realizes that Monica has a secret locked closet, and he's dying to know what's inside. Chandler breaks open the door and finds a huge mess. Monica makes him swear to not tell anyone about her messy closet, and tells him no, he can't store stuff in there because he might mess it up. Messing up a mess. Who would have thought that was possible? In the one with the birthing video, oh goodness. Please don't make me watch someone giving birth. Anyway, Joey really misses Rachel and is depressed that she moved in with Ross, so Phoebe drops her friend's dog off with Joey to cheer him up. She also gives Ross a tape of her friend giving birth, too. Prepare Rachel, I guess. But Ross forgot to grab the tape from the apartment, and Chandler thinks it's... He turns on the tape and is horrified, killing the mood of the entire night. Across the hall, Joey is so torn up about his feelings for Rachel that he even gets the dog depressed. That's actually really impressive, though. Meanwhile, Ross is struggling to tell Mona that Rachel moved in with him, but he doesn't have to, because Mona dropped for a Valentine's Day night in. Rachel tells Mona that she lives there before Ross gets the chance to, and this is all a little too much for Mona, and she dumps Ross. In the one where Joey tells Rachel, Ross gives Joey some advice at Central Perk. Joey spins a tale about a woman he's had feelings for, leaving out the part where it's Rachel. But Ross figures out Joey means he's in love with Rachel and starts to panic. After taking some time to think, Ross tells Joey to confess his feelings to Rachel. Joey takes Rachel out for dinner and tells her he's in love with her, and Rachel thinks he's kidding at first, but when she realizes he's serious, Rachel tells Joey she doesn't feel the same way, and they both start crying. Rachel says she doesn't want this to hurt their friendship, and Joey assures her that would never happen.
You know, I was only kidding.
Nice save, Joey. In the one where Rachel is late, it's Rachel's due date. 5 days later, she's still pregnant. And so over it. 3 more days later, Rachel is still pregnant, so she and Ross head to the hospital to get suggestions on how to induce birth. The doc tells them that having can induce labor, and Rachel's not opposed to the idea. Ross says he does not want to open that can of worms. Hey buddy, that can of worms you're talking about has been cracked open, wide open. She's having your baby. Back at their apartment, Rachel successfully annoys Ross into having with her. Romantic. They start kissing, and then her water breaks, so they rush her back to the hospital. In the one where Rachel has a baby, Ross and Rachel are brought into a semi-private hospital room, as nothing else is available. But Rachel's birth is taking forever. Multiple couples are wheeled in and out of the room as their newborns arrive, and the others start to get bored, so Monica tries to mess with Chandler by telling him that she thinks they're ready to have a baby, and Chandler agrees. So Monica gets kind of freaked out instead. But Monica calms down and they decide to get cracking on trying for a baby. Yeah, right in the hospital. Meanwhile, Ross's mother stops by to give him a family heirloom ring to promise to Rachel. Ross tells the other friends, minus Rachel, about this, prompting the question, why isn't he with Rachel? Seriously though, back in her semi-private room, poor Rachel has been doing this for 17 hours. And what's even worse, Janice is wheeled into the delivery room right next to her to have her baby. Believe it or not, her laugh is still more annoying to listen to than her contractions. After 21 hours of labor, Rachel and Ross's baby girl is finally born, and they settle on the name Emma Geller Green. Janice stops by Rachel's room and tells her that she admires that Rachel is willing to raise her baby alone. But Rachel says she isn't alone. She has Ross. Janice tells her that eventually Ross might meet someone else. Now Rachel feels lonely. She tries to ask Ross about their relationship, and Ross is like, "Oh, man, that can never happen again, am I right?" Goodness, why won't these people just talk to each other? Later, Phoebe calls Ross out on his... Thank you, Phoebes.
You love her, you always have, you have a child together. There's no right answer.
Someone had to say it. Phoebe convinces Ross to give it another shot with Rachel. Soon, Joey stops by Rachel's room to comfort her, and she asks him to grab something from a nearby chair, and the engagement ring falls out of Ross's coat. Rachel thinks Joey is proposing, and she says yes. That's when Ross heads to her room, flowers in hand. Scandalous. Kicking off season 9, we've got The One Where No One Proposes, which picks up exactly where we left off. Joey really wants to explain that the whole proposal was a misunderstanding, but can't quite get a moment alone with Rachel. Ross also wants a moment alone with Rachel to restart their relationship, but can't get her alone. Phoebe, on the other hand, does get a moment alone with Rachel, and Rachel tells her she's engaged, but Phoebe thinks she meant Ross and not Joey. Phoebe congratulates Ross, and Ross is like, "What are you talking about?" So they both go talk to Rachel, who is asleep and wearing Ross's engagement ring. Now Ross is even confused. Did he propose? Eventually, Rachel, Ross, and Joey have a conversation and work out what happened. Rachel realizes she isn't in love with Joey and probably shouldn't marry him. But now Ross's feelings are hurt, cause it kinda looks like Rachel was just ready to marry whoever, including apparently Joey. In The One Where Emma Cries, Ross and Rachel are fighting again. After not sorting out their argument, Ross and Rachel head back to their apartment so the others can meet the baby. Rachel unwisely decides to wake Emma up while she's sleeping, and now, believe it or not, she will not stop crying. Come on, Rach, that's like baby 101. Meanwhile, at Chandler's office, he can't seem to stay awake. That's fair, honestly, it seems like a super boring job. Unfortunately, in his sleepy state, Chandler accidentally agrees to relocate their office to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Later, Joey runs into Ross at the coffee house and he apologizes, while also saying he did nothing wrong. Ross is still furious, so Joey tells Ross to punch him and get it over with. Ross agrees and throws a punch, but Joey ducked, so Ross ended up punching a pole and broke his thumb. Ouch! Meanwhile, Monica finally got Emma to sleep. Chandler, on the other hand, is not able to get out of moving to Tulsa. In The One with the Pediatrician, Joey and Phoebe are going to set each other up on double dates. Phoebe sets him up with their friend Mary Ellen, while Joey completely forgot to find someone for her. He tells Phoebe that she'll be going on a date with a guy named Mike, so he finds a total stranger, one named Mike of course, to join them on the date. Soon into the date, Phoebe realizes that these guys don't know each other, and she storms out, but later Mike bumps into Phoebe at the coffee shop and says he had a great time with her and asks her out on a second date. Meanwhile, Rachel will not stop pestering Emma's pediatricians, so he drops her as a patient. Rachel gets a recommendation from Monica, who tells her about their old pediatrician, Dr. Gettleman, a pediatrician that Ross still sees apparently. Meanwhile, Chandler and Monica are planning on moving to Tulsa, but Monica has to back out when she's offered a new job in the city, so Chandler's going to Tulsa part-time instead. Thank goodness. In The One with the Male Nanny, hey, this is officially the longest episode of Friends. Also, it's the 200th episode. That's fun. Anywho, Monica calls Chandler in Tulsa to tell him about her new job. She calls her coworker Jeffrey the funniest guy she's ever met, and now Chandler's panicked. He flies all the way back to New York just to try to get Monica to laugh. Aw, that's kinda sweet actually. Guess Monica's competitiveness is rubbing off on him. Meanwhile, things are still going great between Mike and Phoebe, and they even swap keys to their apartments. Sometime later though, Phoebe's ex-boyfriend David shows up at her place, saying he's back from Russia for the night, and when he asks if she's seeing anyone, Phoebe says no. What the F, Phoebe? Phoebe even agrees to go out with David and eventually fesses up to him about Mike, but they still end up making out. Mike walks in soon after and Phoebe apologizes, saying she still wants to be with him. Plus, I mean, David is going back to Russia anyway, and that's actually seriously messed up, Phoebes. At Ross and Rachel's place, they're hiring a new nanny for the baby and finally settle on somebody named Sandy. And Sandy is a dude. Ross gets down to business and asks if Sandy is gay, to which Sandy says he's not. But Ross still thinks he's way too feminine with his homemade cookies and recorder playing, but the last straw is when Ross sees Sandy playing with puppets. I guess because Ross has no joy, apparently, so Ross fires Sandy, but the guy takes it really well. In The One with Ross's inappropriate song, Ross makes Emma laugh by singing Baby Got Back.
Big
butts and I cannot lie. You and the brothers can't deny.
Oh my gosh, that's actually really cute. But when Ross remembers what the rest of the song is about, it creeps him out. Luckily, Emma is just a baby, so she has no clue what's going on. And Rachel is not happy when Ross tries to tell her later about this cute story. Rachel tries really hard to get Emma to laugh, but singing Baby Got Back is the only thing that seems to work. Later, Phoebe shows up at Monica's place in a panic. She's about to meet Mike's parents, who are very wealthy and very uptight. Phoebe tries to act classy, but quickly divulges into her very dark, tragic life story. And Mike's parents are not impressed.
Smelly cat, it's not your fault.
No, you guys, the song grows on you. It just takes a few listens. Phoebe even tries to eat veal in effort to impress Mike's parents, but they hate her still. Mike tells them off, saying they should at least be able to be civil with the woman he loves. Oh, he also calls his parents boring, which honestly is quite true. In the one with the Christmas in Tulsa, Chandler is really sad because he's spending Christmas and New Year's in Oklahoma, away from his wife and pals. Plus, everyone hates Chandler because, you know, he's the boss that's forcing them to stay so late during the holidays. So Chandler tells everyone to leave, but one employee, Wendy, stays behind. Back at the apartment, Monica and the others give Chandler a call to wish him a Merry Christmas. Monica is concerned that he's with just Wendy. She might make a move on him. Chandler says that's ridiculous until Wendy does make a move on him. Chandler turns her down and begins wondering what the hell he's doing in Oklahoma. A few hours later, Chandler shows back up at home and it's a Christmas miracle. Turns out he quit his job to be with his wife and friends. Oh. In the one where Rachel goes back to work, Rachel and Ross are bringing Emma to Ralph Lauren. Wow, guys, I'd say it's a little early for her to start working, if you ask me. When they arrive at Ralph Lauren, they meet the temp, Gavin, who's very rude to Rachel, but according to her boss, great at the job. Gavin is super rude about Rachel being on maternity leave.
While you were on your baby vacation, I was doing your job.
A baby vacation? What a POS. Rachel is worried Gavin is going to steal her job forever, so she decides to come back to work today. The next morning, Rachel arrives at work early to prepare for a big presentation she has with Gavin. Since she and Ross are still nannyless, Rachel brings Emma too. Their boss, Mr. Zellner, drops in to say that the presentation is starting early, and Rachel begins to panic. Seeing her dedication, Gavin tells Rachel she can do the presentation while he watches Emma. Maybe he's not so bad after all. In the one with Phoebe's rats, Rachel thanks Gavin at work for watching Emma during the big presentation, and they continue to flirtatiously bicker. And when Monica swings by to take Rachel out to lunch, Monica invites Gavin to her birthday party that night. Meanwhile, at Phoebe's apartment, Mike finds a rat in the cabinet. Yuck. Mike is disgusted and insists she gets rid of them. He sets up a bunch of traps and kills the rat, only to find out that they just orphaned a family of baby rats. And in typical Phoebe fashion, she decides to adopt the rats and bring them to Monica's party. Phoebe, do you know Monica? Don't worry though, Mike convinces her to get rid of them eventually. Meanwhile, Gavin shows up to the party super late, like way after everyone else has left. Super late. So Rachel and Gavin chat on the balcony, and Gavin confesses that he has feelings for Rachel and kisses her. And Ross sees the whole thing. In the one where Monica sings, Ross is furious because he thinks Rachel is moving on, while he's given his full focus to Emma. Rachel, meanwhile, is in a panic of her own and fakes being sick to avoid confronting Gavin. Unfortunately, Gavin apparently is a nice guy and brings her soup at her and Ross's apartment. Rachel then tells Gavin that she has a really complicated history with Ross.
I think you should talk to Ross about all this.
For the record, I also have been saying that. Meanwhile, at Central Perk, Phoebe asks if Monica will come with her to Mike's piano bar that evening. While there, Phoebe signs Monica up to sing, and she gets a huge round of applause. It probably helps that everyone can see through her shirt under the spotlight, but Mike and Phoebe decide to keep that part to themselves. Chandler soon arrives and tells Monica what they're actually clapping for, but Monica doesn't mind. She lives for the applause. Later, Ross brings over a revenge rebound to the apartment, so now it's Rachel's turn to get super jealous. And they get into a blowout fight and realize that living together while not being together isn't working, and Rachel decides to move back into Joey's with Emma. In the one with the job, Monica and Chandler are struggling with money. Chandler got a new internship in advertising that he loves, but it's not paid, so things are tight. Chandler doesn't want to ask anyone for money, so Monica goes behind his back to get a loan from Joey. Later, Chandler goes behind Monica's back to ask Joey for money. Chandler figures out that Monica already asked him for money and to cover for her, and Joey says that Monica wanted the money for a job. Great save, big guy. Great save. Chandler and Monica get in a spat about this because Monica thinks he's upset about how her body will change once she's pregnant. Meanwhile, at Phoebe's, she and Mike are getting more serious and want to move in together. Later at Central Perk, Monica teases Mike and Phoebe, implying that they'll get married soon, which freaks Mike out. That's not a good sign. Back at Phoebe's place, Mike tells her that he doesn't ever want to get married again, since his last marriage ended terribly. That's a deal breaker for Phoebe, so they break up. In The One with the Lottery, the gang buys a whole bunch of lottery tickets. I mean, it was mostly Monica buying them due to her competitive nature. Not surprisingly, they did not win the Powerball, but Chandler did get promoted from an unpaid intern to junior copywriter, so at least someone got lucky. In The One with Rachel's Dream, Joey is nervous about his new romantic storyline on Days of Our Lives, and asks Rachel for help rehearsing his lines. After watching Joey act romantic all day, Rachel has a dream about him where she kisses him while they're rehearsing lines, and she feels really weird about it. After talking to Monica about it, Rachel believes that she has a crush on Joey's character Drake, and not Joey himself, right? Sometime later, Rachel and Joey are running lines, but he's struggling to channel the romantic aspects of his character. Joey says he thinks it's because Rachel is the only person he's ever been in love with. Oh boy. In The One with the Soap Opera Party, Joey is hosting a party for the cast of Days of Our Lives, but he doesn't want to invite his friends as they get too starstruck. Rachel soon finds out about the party and wants to go so she can finally make a move on Joey. Joey agrees to let her come, and she ends up telling everyone else. So now they're all going to the party. Ross brings a colleague to the party, another professional named Charlie, who has only dated Nobel Prize winners and geniuses. But Charlie and Joey, of all people, end up hitting it off at the party. Something tells me that this is not gonna last.
I'm slaughtering the ham.
In The One with the Fertility Test, Monica and Chandler are really struggling to get pregnant, despite trying for over a year. So they go to the doctor to get a fertility test. To make matters worse, they run into Janice, who's getting a real kick out of teasing Chandler. But what's way worse is when Monica and Chandler get their results back. They're told that they're incompatible from a reproductive standpoint, and if they want to have kids, they're likely to need to consider alternative options. In The One with the Donor, Chandler and Monica are told at the doctor's office that their options for having kids are a surrogacy, a sperm donor, or adoption. Chandler knows that Monica always wanted to be pregnant, so he looks into a sperm donor. Well, he kind of looks into a sperm donor. He actually brings over a coworker, Zach, who they make really uncomfortable with their medical questions. After Zach leaves, Monica tells Chandler that she doesn't want to give birth to anyone else's child, but his, and they decide to adopt. Oh, and Phoebe runs into David once more, and she's still not over Mike, but she and David decide to go out again. In The One in Barbados, the gang is about to head to Barbados for Ross's work conference. Phoebe is bringing David, who she accidentally refers to as Mike. Oh, that's very awkward. David seeks advice from Chandler, who tells him that Mike wasn't willing to marry Phoebe, and that's why they broke up. So David is going to propose to Phoebe on the trip, and that's why no one asks for your advice, Chandler. Anyway, when they arrive in Barbados, Monica tells Phoebe that David is going to propose, who plans to say yes, even though she's hung up on Mike. And then Mike gets a phone call from Monica, who tells him to grow a pair and be with Phoebe already.
So you need to get over your whole I never want to get married thing and step up.
I'd listen to her, Mike. Monica's pretty dang scary when she's mad. Soon, David arrives in Barbados and tries to propose to Phoebe, but before he can, Mike shows up and proposes himself.
Will you marry me?
Oh my gosh, a grand romantic gesture! But Phoebe turns Mike down. What? Phoebe explains herself and tells Mike she isn't ready to be engaged just yet, but she's in love with him and wants to know their relationship is going to go somewhere. Monica congratulates herself on her meddling skills. A job well done, if I might say. David goes home. Worst trip to Barbados ever. Meanwhile, Charlie and Ross are having a great time at the conference, finally seeing just how much they have in common, including that they're both in relationships with people who turned out to be gay. Joey feels pretty dumb in comparison, but gets good bonding time with Rachel. During Ross's big conference speech, Joey laughs at the phrase Homo erectus, which finally clues Charlie in as to who she's been dating. They realize they aren't having fun anymore and break up. Later, Joey confides in Rachel about the breakup, so Rachel finally tells Joey about her feelings for him. Joey is shocked. He is a little bit slow and says that being together would be too hurtful to Ross, but soon Joey sees Ross kissing Charlie and is like, you know what, screw it. I bet I know what this next season is going to be about. Let's get into the 10th and final season of Friends. The one after Joey and Rachel kiss picks up right where we left off in Barbados. Ross is making out with Charlie, and Joey is making out with Rachel, and everyone agrees to pump the brakes until they talk to the others. Ross asks Rachel, of all people, for advice on what to tell Joey about Charlie, and Rachel does not take this opportunity to confess that she kissed Joey. Surprise, surprise. Later on the play ride back home, Ross fesses up to Joey about Charlie, but Joey doesn't have the guts to say the same about Rachel. And when they get back, Rachel can't bring herself to tell Ross either. Mike does have a plain confession, though. He has had a girlfriend. He started seeing someone after Phoebe broke up with him, but Mike promises to dump her when they get back. But when Mike's girlfriend arrives at his apartment before Mike does, Phoebe has to do the breaking up on his behalf. Super awkward. Back at Rachel and Joey's place, they start making out, and then Ross walks in on them. Really should have said something on the plane, guys. In the one where Ross is fine, Ross swears he's fine with Joey and Rachel being together. See, he's fine. He's so fine with this. In fact, that he invites Rachel and Joey over for dinner the next night with him and Charlie. That's gonna get really awkward. Meanwhile, at Central Perk, Chandler and Monica are struggling to figure out the whole adoption process. Phoebe introduces them to her friends Bill and Colleen, who adopted their son Owen. Chandler bumps into Owen on his way to the bathroom and is like, "Hey champ, we're just getting some advice from your parents about adopting kids." Bad news though, Owen had no idea he was adopted and starts freaking out. Okay, given that Monica and Chandler are literally here to discuss options, I'm kinda on Chandler's side for this one. Meanwhile, at Ross's apartment, Charlie, Joey, and Rachel arrive for their awkward night of fajitas. Ross insists that he's fine.
Aren't you? Aren't you? Is he? Who else is fine?
Yeah, I don't think he's fine, but he'll claim it. Ross gets totally hammered, so Rachel and Charlie decide to head home, while Joey stays to make sure Ross is okay. The next morning, Joey tells Ross that he'll end things with Rachel because he's clearly uncomfortable, but the conversation makes Ross realize it's been a long time since Ross and Rachel were a thing, and gives Joey his blessing. In the one with Ross's tan, Ross decides to get a spray tan after seeing Monica's, and it looks fine. Fine as in how Ross was fine in the last episode. Oh, wow. Meanwhile, Joey and Rachel have their first official date, and the date itself goes well, but when they're back home, they just can't seem to cross their friendship barrier. Rachel keeps slapping Joey's hand away when he tries to make a move, and then Joey can't get her bra unhooked. Wild, because he's a pro. They try to power through the awkwardness, but decide that it's too uncomfortable for the both of them, and break up. They'll always be friends, of course. In the one where Rachel's sister babysits, Rachel's sister Amy shows up at Ross's apartment looking for Rachel. In Amy's defense, Rachel has been moving around a lot. Amy tells Rachel she's getting married to some guy, and she's not too interested in him, and Rachel advises her to wait for her soulmate. Amy's like, "You are so right, Rachel. I'm gonna move in with you for now." Amy babysits Emma, who she calls Ella. Yay! And then Amy gets Emma's ears pierced. And Ross and Rachel are so angry that they decide to never let her babysit again. Meanwhile, Phoebe and Mike are at a Knicks game to celebrate their anniversary. Aww. They see a proposal live on the Jumbotron. Something Phoebe says are tacky and unprofessional. And that was definitely the wrong thing to say, though, because Mike was about to propose on the big screen. Whoops. So Phoebe decides to go to a different game with Mike and proposes to him on the big screen, only for them to get booed and laughed at. Later at dinner, Phoebe promises to say yes, however Mike decides to propose. Even if it's like in a cheesy rom-com where the guy puts a ring in a cake, and that was exactly where Mike was putting the ring. So he just proposed right then and there, and Phoebe says yes. In the one with Ross's grant, Charlie takes Ross to meet an old colleague to talk him up to the professor administering the NYU research grant that Ross is gunning for. Oh, yeah, and this Professor Benjamin is also Charlie's ex-boyfriend. The second Charlie steps away, Benjamin is like, "You should definitely break up with Charlie." And Ross is like, "No, I won't." The next day, during the final grant interview, Benjamin asks Ross a bunch of BS questions. After the interview, Benjamin offers Ross the grant on one condition. He has to dump Charlie. Oh, come on. Ross then tells Charlie that Benjamin is still in love with her, but Charlie doesn't believe him. Ross then drags Charlie to Benjamin's office and gets him to fess up. And Charlie is so moved that she agrees to take Benjamin back. Charlie and Benjamin then make out right in front of Ross. I feel like this kind of thing happens a lot to Ross. In the one with the late Thanksgiving, Monica and Chandler try to get out of hosting Thanksgiving, but Phoebe convinces Monica to try to outcook herself from last year. The rest of the gang has other plans that day too. Joey and Ross are at a Rangers game, while Phoebe and Rachel are at a baby beauty pageant. So they all show up an hour late, and Monica and Chandler are not happy. And besides, Chandler doesn't even like Thanksgiving food. Monica and Chandler are so mad, in fact, that they lock all the others out of the apartment, but they all squeeze their heads in around the door bolt, and this is just silly enough to convince Monica to let them in. Until Phoebe and Rachel tell Monica they forgot the pies, and Joey's head gets stuck. Chandler pulls on the door while the others push. The door bursts open and Joey tumbles in, sending all of the food flying. Monica would normally be super pissed about this, but the gang is interrupted by a phone call with some huge news. A woman in Ohio named Erica wants to give Monica and Chandler her baby.
We're getting a baby!
Are you serious? Oh my goodness! Monica and Chandler are gonna be parents. The whole gang agrees, and this Thanksgiving is definitely better than last year's. In the one where Chandler gets caught, Rachel and Phoebe see Chandler getting into a car with a woman that is not Monica. Phoebe calls Chandler, who is acting really sneaky on the phone. Now they're positive he's cheating. But don't worry, Chandler isn't cheating. The woman is a realtor named Nancy who is looking for a house for them in the suburbs. They just aren't ready to tell their friends about this yet. Later, Rachel and Phoebe approach Ross and Joey with their incorrect information, and they tell Monica that Chandler is cheating. Monica knows this isn't true, so she's like, "Did you guys like the neighborhood?" Everyone is confused, so Chandler and Monica fess up. They want to raise their kid in the suburbs, and the gang tries to convince them to stay, but Monica and Chandler have already made an offer. They reminisce on their time together in the city and the apartment, and at the end of the episode, Chandler and Monica get a call from their realtor saying they got the house. I am so sad, but also happy. In the one with Phoebe's wedding, all of Monica's manic wedding planning is driving Phoebe totally nuts. Phoebe fires her and starts doing the job herself. But when a blizzard hits New York out of nowhere, so many roads and tunnels into the city are closed that it looks like Phoebe and Mike's big day will have to be postponed. Rachel tells the couple that they should just get married in the snow under all of the gorgeous lights. A huge last-minute spur-of-the-moment decision. You know who this sounds like a job for? Monica. Joey officiates the wedding and Chandler walks Phoebe down the aisle.
I now pronounce you husband and wife.
No, it's just allergies. You guys are the ones that are crying. It's not me. In the one where Joey speaks French, Joey needs to learn how to speak French for a play audition. He lied on his resume, so the casting director already assumes that he can. Luckily, Phoebe speaks French and agrees to help Joey prepare. I'm not sure if Joey's trying or if he's really just that dumb. But either way, the French lessons aren't going well at all. During his audition, Joey speaks total gibberish. To prevent his humiliation, Phoebe tells the casting director in French that Joey's a little slow. The casting director decides to humor Joey and let him down easy. Meanwhile, Rachel was supposed to meet Ross 30 minutes ago, but she's late because she found out her father had a heart attack. Ross agrees to come with her to the hospital for support. Back at Rachel's childhood home, she makes a move on Ross, looking for comfort, but Ross doesn't think that's a good idea. Next morning, Rachel is really pissed at Ross for not hooking up with her. They get into a fight and Ross tells her that they should actually never ever hook up again, ever. Off the table. But by the time they're back in the city, they've both cooled down. Rachel tells them there's always going to be the possibility of Ross and Rachel.
With us, it's never off the table.
Sounds like it's not off the table. In the one with Princess Consuela, Rachel has a big job interview coming up with Gucci. But while she's interviewing with the hiring manager at lunch, her Ralph Lauren boss is sitting right behind them. Not only does Rachel not get the job, but she gets fired too. Brutal. Meanwhile, Phoebe heads to the courthouse to change her name to Phoebe Hannigan, Mike's last name. But while there, Phoebe learns that she could change her name to whatever the hell she wants to, and settles on Princess Consuela Banana Hammock. Don't worry, Phoebe tells Monica and Chandler that her friends can just call her Valerie. Mike isn't all that impressed and convinces Princess Consuela to change her name to Phoebe Buffet Hannigan. While Rachel is taking her stuff out of Ralph Lauren, she runs into her old coworker Mike. Well, Mike is coming in to save the day again, and he tells Rachel that Louis Vuitton has a job opening in Paris. In the one where Estelle dies, Ross is pretty upset by the prospect of Rachel moving to Paris. After all, when would he be able to see his daughter? Or Rachel, for that matter. Ross heads down to Ralph Lauren to try to get Rachel her job back. And after a lot of dinosaur-centric bribery, Ross succeeds, even getting Rachel a raise. but Rachel's already moved on from from Ralph Lauren. She tells Ross that she isn't sure what she wants to do because she has 2 huge major job offers, and she was excited to live in the fashion capital of the world, and she feels like she's grown all she can at Ralph Lauren. Ross tells Rachel to follow her heart.
You should go.
This makes Rachel realize she wants to go to Paris. Meanwhile, Phoebe is reading the paper when she finds out that Joey's agent Estelle has died. Joey's already upset with all of the changes that are happening, so Phoebe decides to keep this info to herself, even posing as Estelle on the phone. Joey then fires Phoebe as Estelle, and problem solved. In the one with Rachel's going away party, Monica, Chandler, and Rachel are all packing their bags to head to the suburbs and Paris, respectively. Monica is also hosting a going away party with the whole gang. Rachel is super emotional and has emotional goodbyes for everyone individually, but Rachel doesn't have any goodbye whatsoever for Ross. The poor guy's heartbroken and heads home. But then Rachel heads to his place, crying. She says the thought of being without Ross every day makes her not want to go, and that she couldn't say goodbye because he means more to her than anyone else. Oh boy. Meanwhile, the mother of Monica and Chandler's baby, Erica, goes into labor. And now, without further ado, the series finale of Friends, which is titled The Last One. Rachel and Ross just hooked up for the very last time. Ross heads to Joey and Rachel's place to talk to her, but Rachel refers to the night before with Ross as the perfect way to say goodbye. Meanwhile, Monica and Chandler are in the hospital with Erica, who just went into labor. And surprise, it's twins! A boy and a girl. They named their daughter Erica after her birth mother and their boy Jack. Don't worry, everyone gets to meet the twins before Rachel leaves. Later, Rachel, Ross, Phoebe, and Chandler are at Central Perk. Remember Gunther, the coffeehouse manager who always had a huge thing for Rachel? Well, after years of loving her from afar, he finally tells Rachel how he feels. Way to let another guy beat you to it, Ross. Anyway, after Rachel leaves, Phoebe convinces Ross to go after her and confess his feelings. So Ross does just that. He even buys a ticket just to get past security, only to realize he's at JFK Airport, and Rachel is at Newark. So Phoebe and Ross rush to Newark Airport and have to do the damn thing all over again. When they get there, Phoebe screams Rachel's name right as she's about to board, and Ross asks Rachel to stay, but Rachel tells him she has to go. And she goes to Paris. But when Ross gets home, guess who shows up? It's Rachel. They kiss and say they're done being stupid, and they're in it for the long haul. The next day, the whole gang is back in Monica's apartment to say goodbye, which Joey just noticed was purple.
Has it always been purple?
And that was the entire story of Friends from start to finish. But wait, I know what you're thinking. This can't be it. And you're right. Here's a bonus round. After Friends went off the air, Joey Tribbiani got his very own spinoff. Not gonna lie, it was not well received and was canceled after just 2 seasons. But hey, what the hell? Let's see what shenanigans he got himself into. In the pilot episode of Joey, we find out that after the events of Friends series finale, Joey moved all the way to Los Angeles in order to really make it as an actor.
If you want to make it as an actor, you got to move to LA, to Hollywood.
So what are you doing here in Dallas?
That would be the place to do it. Classic Joey. When Joey actually arrives in Los Angeles, we meet his tough and street-smart older sister named Gina. At Joey's new apartment, we're introduced to Gina's 20-year-old son, Michael, who is an actual rocket scientist, and Joey's new roommate. Joey also has a really attractive neighbor, a corporate lawyer named Alex. The next day, Joey gets some bad news. The show he moved out to LA for was canceled, and his agent Bobby lands him an audition for a new show, but Joey totally blows it. It's not really his thing after all, and then to make matters worse, he finds out that Alex has a husband. In Joey and the Perfect Storm, Joey gets a role as an understudy in 3 different plays. Yay! But then he needs to perform in all 3 plays in one night because the lead actor is sick. Not yay. Not to worry though, Joey came up with a foolproof plan. Do all 3 plays in one night. Run, Joey! Joey convinces the incredibly sick lead actor of one of the plays to go in his place. He delivers his Shakespearean monologue perfectly, but he accidentally performed it for the wrong play. Whoops. Something tells me this isn't going to be Joey's big break. In Joey and the Big Audition, Joey tells Bobby that he wants a serious audition. Bobby is not super helpful and suggests he make some big Hollywood connections. Luckily, Alex is hosting an alumni event for her alma mater. Northwestern University. One of the attendees is a big movie producer and thinks Joey went to Northwestern, so he secures a big audition for a new show called Deep Powder. The show is supposed to be a huge hit. When Joey gets to the audition, he's not happy to find out that he has to read for the lead's dad, not the younger lead. But Gina tells Joey he's a great actor and convinces him to read for the dad part. So Joey does it, and he gets the part. Yay for Joey! In Joey and the Tonight Show, Joey is going on Jay Leno to promote Deep Powder, but on the way there, he gets stuck in LA's infamously terrible traffic. What's more, if Joey doesn't make it in time, he'll be banned from the Tonight Show for life. Talk about high stakes. With no other choice, Joey calls Alex and asks her to bring him a motorcycle, and Alex actually pulls through, showing up at the last minute on a bright pink motorcycle. Way to go, Alex! Joey zooms off and miraculously makes it just in time for his appearance on the show. In Joey and the Neighbor, you know, Joey has always had a crush on his married neighbor, Alex. Well, Alex's husband, Eric, is in town for once, and he's gone a lot because he works as a professional orchestra musician. So now that Eric is back in town, she's not even used to living with him anymore. Alex drops by next door to rant to Michael, Joey, and Gina about Eric. Doesn't sound like their marriage is doing too well. Alex eventually tells her husband everything that has been bothering her, and Eric is kind of a tool bag about it. Alex comes back over to Joey's to tell him that she and Eric are splitting up, which is great news for him. In Joey and the Moving In, Alex is really nervous about her first date after splitting off from Eric. She pushes this new guy a little too fast and is too scared, so she runs to Joey, and Joey poses as her husband and gets the guy to run off. Joey finds out that in Deep Powder, there's going to be an online audience vote to see who will be killed off in the show, and Joey does not love his odds. Later, Joey and Alex end up hanging out and doing tequila shots in his room. They're both sad and looking for comfort, and they end up making out, and then more than just making out. Meanwhile, a weirdo neighbor that is a big fan of Joey tries to prevent Joey from getting killed off, but he misunderstands how the voting works and ends up doing the exact opposite, meaning Joey's character is going to be killed off. Say goodbye to Deep Powder, Joey. The second season of Joey ends off with a bit of a cliffhanger since, you know, the show was canceled. There's several different storylines that end abruptly, so we're not gonna dive into it here, but if you like, you can view it on the official Friends YouTube channel, where they're regularly uploading reruns of Joey. It's kinda neat, huh? And that was now the entire story of Friends. Do you guys think Ross and Rachel should have ended up together? I'm more of a Monica and Chandler stan myself. And what do you guys think of Joey? Should they have given the spinoff a little more time to shine? Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and consider subscribing and liking and ringing that bell, and we'll have more sitcoms and more shows and more goodness coming right at ya. So always, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.